Welcome everyone to our live stream here on Leechess and Twitch. A little bit of a delay due to an allergic emergency. I had a sudden allergic reaction and my eyes were like extremely itchy. Had to wash my eyes out and they're like bright red. I don't know what it's from. It might be something from the air or something from guinea pig. Contact with guinea pigs. All right. We've been delayed by an allergic reaction. My eyes are better now. I could see. Sherry Kasparov. Men are inferior to women. Interesting. Shay Kasparov. Alright. I thought I saw Schieberspieler lurking. Wow. Who's that again? We're late to start. Sorry about that, guys. I was suffering from brutal eye allergy. Don't know. I rubbed my eyes. Don't know what it was, but it's a little better now. To wash my eyes out. Are we watching Shrek the Third today? Interesting that you should say that. What makes you say that? Why is Shrek the Third today? Because we're welcome to Movie Phone? Is there still Movie Phone? I don't even know if Movie Phone still exists. Schieberspieler. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my eyes, though. It's weird. Better now. Hello, and welcome to Movie Phone. Telemundo. Okay, we've got game submissions for analysis. Thursday, Sumaher, Asterbait, Mule Skinner. That's just the extra. Just my extra list. Those are the people who couldn't properly submit their games. Stream was on, I saw a black screen. Weird. You have 1 million channel points now? I assume you're busy with your studies, Sheeper studies. Alright. We got a long weekend here. Perhaps you're playing some chess? I'm not. There's a number of events this weekend, because in Hungary it's a holiday on Monday. So it's an ideal weekend for a chess tournament. 12th, 13th, and 14th. I could play if I wanted to in a couple of tournaments here in Budapest, but I just don't feel like... When you do chess all week, like, you don't feel like playing chess in the weekend, right? How many submissions for today? Move 11 is our substitute question asker for today. All right. Where am I don't know. My brain is. Phew. My eyes are irritated from an allergy, but it makes me feel like it's part of a broader problem. Like you get your eyes get tired when you're sleepy. It's making me feel sleepy. All right. Anyway, just don't think about it. Once you get to like 45, you're done. Nothing works right anymore. Mr. Coffee with 500 bits. Very generous, sir. I was 39 a year ago. That's true. So now I'm 40. If I was 39 a year ago, it means I'm 40 now. Is that how it works? Maybe I'll finally be 40. Then people like believe me more, right? 40 is more believable than 39. It's actually a lot more believable. You know. Alright, my studies. I feel like I have brain numbness. As I reported on the stream, there's a study out that says that that any kind of like mild COVID even can cause the loss of 0.2 to 2% of your gray matter. Sounds kind of excessive to me. Oh, it's not my study, it's studies I contribute to. Yeah, I feel like I've got brain fog. Brain fog. 10 years in a single year. Who said anything about 10 years? What are you talking about? Last year I was 39, now I'm 40. What 10 years? Still doesn't explain the brain fog. It must be COVID. I can afford to lose 0.2%. It's the 2% that scares me. And one beer, even one alcoholic beverage a day can reduce your brain size. I'm in big trouble. Yeah. Okay, the study looks weird because it's kind of small. Yabatis, Excel Poker, Uber Driver, has like a mini game. Sumaher, Move 11. Oh, Sumaher's in there. Okay, so actually everyone's in the list except for Asterbait and Mule Skinner. I don't know. I'm gonna risk opening the window again, but I'm afraid it was like an external allergy source. It's really stuffy. I just pray that it's not something that was coming in on the wind that was making my eyes itch. Hopefully it was the guinea pig. I had like touched the guinea pig 2 hours ago and then rubbed my eyes. I really know what else it could be. It's like March 10th. I don't think it's an air related allergy. Not enough flowers and trees and stuff this early in the spring. B-Jock subscribed to Tier 1 for 14 months. Alright, brain fog is full strength today. First game, Yabatis versus Lukma. I can play without my queen. Actually, it's not Yabatis versus Lukma. I can play without my queen. This is Yabatis versus Solrock Nomar. Nomar Solrock. Welcome everyone, we're going to get started. Yabatis, otherwise known as Spectacular Camel, helper with the study for this. Solrock. Oh, Ramon. Wow, Ramon Carlos. Move 11 is tricky. I see dead people. I like Solrock. Nomar Garcia Parra. Nomar is a Hispanic name too, right? Or is that just something random? So Nomar is Ramon reversed. I thought it was another name. I'll show you what I know. Alright. Legendary Red Sox shortstop, Nomar Garcia Parra. Nomar Solrock. So c4, e6, knight c3, d5. Korchnoi, Karpov. 1978. C takes d5, e takes d5, d4. We have a mainline exchange, Queen's Gambit. This is not something that I think our hero Yabatis likes to play. He likes to stay out of mainline theory for the most part. Now black played c6, which isn't really necessary so early. I don't know why it's the most common move here. It seems like knight f6 is better, but I would suppose bishop e7 is fine. I can't imagine there's a problem with this move, for example. We'll ask our Queen's Gambit. No, I was going to say you can imagine Jeff Goldblum in Time Flies. Jeff Goldblum is like, he's got to be a reptilian. I mean, how old is Jeff Goldblum? He must be like 100 years old. He's like in like ancient series from the 50s and stuff. I mean, the guy, and he looks like he's like 65. He must be like 90, but he looks like he's 65. It's not natural. He's definitely an alien. Alright. He was in like old episodes of The Twilight Zone. Like from way before I was born. And he still looks like he's 65. Alright, C6. G3. Very bad idea. Very bad idea. So, okay. We gave away our opening advantage. It's not that bad. Okay, we just don't want an advantage with this move. Now you're playing the Caro-Kann with black. It's now an exchange Caro-Kann reversed. If you want to play for an advantage, you have to play either bishop f4 or knight f3. Or maybe queen c2. Queen c2, they're all... Yeah, it's a reverse Caro-Kann exchange variation. So all those moves make sense. Just have to ask yourself, is Jeff Goldblum really a reptilian? Seriously, look at like IDMB. Or what's it called? The internet? IMDb. And check out like how long Jeff Goldblum has been like making cinematic appearances. It's hard to believe. G3. Not a great move, but we can meet like bishop d6 with bishop f4. Try to play it like a exchange Caro-Kann. So this is a bad move. Why e6 from Solrak. Solrak with an acerbate bishop. Why? You know, I only want to know why. Clearly the bishop's better to develop this bishop out, or something normal like knight f6. But let's just randomly put our bishop on e6. Okay. Bishop g2, and then knight d7, and now e3. Ugh. Ugh. Yuck. So normally you would play knight f3 here, possibly knight h3. That's the only suggestions I have. Maybe bishop f4, just toss it out there. I don't really like queen b6 hitting our b pawn. By the way, wouldn't that bishop be better on f5? Actually, we should go back. Yeah, I mean, this dude. Hello! There's a good square. The game from 2010 here. Jeffrey Lynn Goldblum. He was born in 1952, Pittsburgh. He's exactly 20 years younger than my mom. From the same city. So he's exactly 70. My mom would be 90 this year. Jeff Goldblum is only 70. Interesting. Yeah, large Jewish population in Pittsburgh. Thanks for the information, Acerbate. But seriously, bishop f5 or bishop d6 here. This move I don't like. E3. Okay, it's not the end of the world, but I like maybe better to play knight h3. And speaking of Nick Adams, wasn't there a game there? Yeah, Nick Adams would play the Caro-Kann with black, and he would do like f3, knight h3, knight f2. Basically a rat formation, where you try to use your central pawns. Dr. Nick Adams. Artist, pilot, and chess player. From Indianapolis, Indiana. Alright. So g3, bishop e6, bishop g2, knight d7. e3, not a great move. Bishop d6, knight e2. Again, now you still have the possibility. Basically, Yabatis has good understanding of pawn play, so he understands here, hopefully, that he can play like f3 and e4. You also have a minority attack on the queen side. Well, the interesting thing, yeah, I mean, check out, like, Jeff Goldblum's first acting credit was really way back there. Okay, queen c7. This is a bad square. Castles, knight e7. I mean, you're just going to get hit along the c-file by an enemy attack a lot of times. So, I don't know. I don't like what Yabatis did here. I think you should try to play f3, and you go for e4, supported by the pawns. After this, I think that black should give serious consideration to f5. I don't know if there's time for this. But I don't think black's formation is really right. This definitely looks wrong. The queen on c7. But Yabatis just breaks immediately, leaving himself with an IQP, and black has good kind of blockade on d5 on this horrifying move. Knight g6. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are black's options here? If you allow e5, you're basically toast. I mean, I don't know. I don't like it. I just don't like it. I mean, knight g6 is such a bad move. Like, it's bad in multiple ways. Like, after knight g6, e5 is better for white. And also, there's just, like, eating the pawn for free with a clear pawn up. What does Yabatis do? He does a3. I'm sorry, what? You have a choice between rolling him with f4 or, alternatively, just, like, chopping his central pawn for free. And instead he played this. Now black plays knight b6, defending d5, so now our option... Man. I mean, honestly, like, f4 looks pretty strong. Threatening f5. Probably f5, e5, and white has a clear space advantage. Welcome everyone to the stream. We're going to go over a bunch of games here. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. How are you, sir? Sire. Sorry. How are you, sire? Welcome, Serious Analysis, Master Analysis here from the Master. Yours truly. So now Yabatis plays e5. Okay, now black has to, like, hold up this roller or he's done. You know, so now if white gets an f or a 5, it's all over. Problem is, boop, boop, boop. Like, these squares are a little bit tricky for white to control. How are we going to control those squares after queen d7? I think that black can play queen d7. Queen d7 would stop the entire flow. It's like a waterfall. If you try to play queen d3, then we can play bishop f5. So I think queen d7 is correcting the bad position of the queen to start with. That's a better move. Instead, his opponent played... Oops. His opponent played... Not that, but at bishop f5, which is like a slightly more artificial way of stopping the pawn advance. Now naturally h3, and now black has to play h5. I suppose you could play queen d7. No. You gotta play h5 here. This is only move. So he's stopping the pawn advance. So Yabatis has more space, but black's holding him up. Now, I guess this is bad. So I would probably play b3 here. I think black's in serious trouble spatially. b3, bishop e3. White might be able to slowly encroach on black. The one problem is that that pawn is kind of tricky to keep defended, so maybe bishop e3 is not so important. I don't know how we handle this exactly, but I'm sure that white is better. Not so easy. Okay, bishop e3. This knight is annoying. Like, if he plays that, what are you going to do? Go back to c1? Antsy, are you on the list? Tell me your name on Lichess again. Give me your account name on Lichess again. I'll find it. If you submitted a game, you should be on the list. I don't understand bishop e3. You should play b3 first. This is a huge problem. Why doesn't the guy play knight c4? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't always get messages from people. You might be like... You might be chat blocked or something by Lichess. A lot of people are like... Just now you sent me a message? A lot of people are like silently like chat blocked. Let's see. Wait. Hello? New window. How the hell do I open a new window? Have to go there. New window. And this isn't going to steal my focus, is it? Alright. We're going to check. We're going to check. Today, yeah, I don't get your messages. So you must be chat blocked, Ancillary Mary. I get no notification of you sending me a message. You are definitely chat blocked. Alright. Copy. Page not found. And the link you gave me is page not found. Dude. He's chat blocked and the link he gives me is no good. Are you serious? Oh, because I put cheers at the end of it. Cheers. It's page not found. What the heck? I don't know, Ancillary Mary. You're going to have to try again. I mean, we got all kinds of problems with you. Your chat didn't come through. Now it's like... I can't get this link to work that you sent me. It's not an actual link. It's page not found. Yeah, that's... Oh, now we got it. Alright, never mind. It worked. Now let me guess. It won't copy over. Cool. It's going to copy over. Alright, we got it. Whew, that was a lot of work. That one's copied in. LVN, try to get the submissions in a little earlier. But I think we have room for this. Again, I'm not getting any notifications from people. I'm not getting any notifications. It's very strange. Why? I mean, you can't all be chat blocked. I don't understand. Maybe they're not chat blocked, but why does it not trigger like I have a message or something? Don't understand. Did you turn off notifications from Lichess? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I didn't do it intentionally. Alright guys, we're still in the first game. I'm not checking. Yeah, maybe I am chat blocked. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. Like sometimes I get messages from people. Soul Rack. Anyway, Solrak didn't see the idea of knight c4. Because that's a great knight. I mean, obviously he wants it to go back to a8 or c8. He misses this for several turns. Yeah, I mean, totally now. White would have to give you the bishop. I'm not sure you want to take it, but you probably have to. At least that's an exchange of pieces to get black a little closer to equalizing. With less space, you want to trade pieces. So castle queenside. Again, I strongly advocate b3, keeping him off of c4, keeping his knight a bad piece. I think normally Ubatis would understand that. King b8, yeah, he's kind of like attacking. It seems like. Then Ubatis played b4, totally abandoning the c4 square. And now in the most shocking turn of events, which I seriously do not understand, Solrak Nomar, it's like this square doesn't exist or something to this guy. Ubatis is like, please put your knight on the permanent outpost c4, and the guy literally still doesn't do it. It's unbelievable. Like, okay, knight c4, now that's going to be a very strong piece, blocking up the play on the queen side. We will have to back up to either g1 or f2. I can't believe black wouldn't do that. That's crazy. He plays knight c8. It's unbelievable. Believable. Believe it. This is probably not bad. Knight c5. Now you played rook b1 into the diagonal of death. Death-defying move. Rook b1. King a8. And then b5. Never play with your opponent. Yeah, some people play like that. It seems like they intentionally play unexpected moves every turn. Cheesy Noob is like that. I have never perfected that art, but if you can read your opponent's mind, it helps. It feels like b5 is okay. Slightly impatient, but gotta do something here. So takes, knight b6, and now it's like, oh, you mean the c4 square that you refused to occupy for like the last 10 moves. It's very strange. It's like now he sees it, that he can go there? Are you kidding me? Like now he realizes, after going back and coming back to b6? It took him like 8 moves to realize he could put his knight on c4. But something has happened here. I mean, white now has control of d4. This diagonal is dangerous. There's a huge outpost for white at d6 now, though the bishop is hanging on e3. Ubatis plays for mate in 1, then a6. Yeah, I mean, honestly, your bishop's hanging, so you're like kind of fancy, Mr. Fancy. Maybe blockading the pawn isn't a good idea, because you really don't mind if he pushes it with that diagonal. So I would just like retreat my bishop back to g1 and, be like, alright dude, it's your turn. Looks like very much a winning position for white, most likely. Maybe he should try bishop e4. But Ubatis plays queen a4, a6, stopping mate, and then queen takes c4. Obviously. Sacrificing his queen. I mean, this is a triple attack, potentially, against b7. It looks pretty insane, but we'll see. Knight d6, tripla. He's hacking the queen and then the exchange. Bishop takes b1, rook takes b1. I admire your coordination here. I have the feeling with very resolute defense, black might be okay. The problem with like rook b8 though, for example, it kind of smothers your own king. That's what he played, and that's the problem. I mean, This is one of his only sources of oxygen. It's on the wrong tab? What? On tap. Yeah, I mean, the question, is it enough? Rook b8 doesn't look like it's going to cut it. I mean, he's really short on oxygen after rook b8. Perhaps black has another way to defend here, sacking his queen. Return. Sacrifice, anyone? Here. I'm interested in queen c6. What I mean, here it looks like we could, for example, maybe try. Well, I mean, you could try to take the queen and play knight takes c4. This looks like black's best chance, though. Oh no, it's okay, LVN. Yeah, that's interesting. You didn't know that. So on tap means like when you've got a, you know, the beer is ready to pour, I guess. Interesting. Yeah, no, that's good to know. Not something I would expect everyone to know. I thought you just mistyped. Man, it looks like queen c6 is seriously the best defense. So what happens here? Like takes. Now this bishop's really bad, but white has rook b6. King, you know, this looks like really good compensation. I'm not sure if it's enough or not, but it's close. So he plays rook b8, rook here. Now we're threatening mate in 1. And if king a7, we have c6. So this looks brutal. Wow. The question is, who cares? Is there a mate here? Rook takes c6 check, right? Oh, you played the wrong check now. Or does it matter? Yeah, it looks like you should have played... No, rook takes c6. Ironically. Did you do the wrong check? If you play rook takes c6... I guess he has rook b6. I mean, probably white's winning anyway. I imagine. So I don't know, is it more accurate to play... Yeah. Yeah, c6 is mate in 6. The other way you're just like winning his queen with a winning material advantage. Yeah, he was greedy, went for the material. This is apparently literally a forced mate. How does it work though? Like rook b6, rook takes? Probably. Yeah. It's like a slow motion forced mate, I think. I mean, we're threatening to like rook b5 mate, you know? Basically slow motion forced mate. He went for the material. Takes here, and now, you know, we're up a piece. Knight takes c8 at the minimum. Very materialistic denouement by Yabadis. He's normally not a materialist. And now the Arabian mate is unpreventable. It's not a really, it's not a standard Arabian mate with the extra bishop on e3, but nice game. Yeah, nice game. Not a good opening, but nice win. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that, the way you handled that opening necessarily. But I definitely don't like the way black handled it either. Alright, the next game is Excel Poker. Yeah, rook takes c6 is mate in 6. I didn't see it was mate in 6. It just looked more juicy. gut instinct told me it was better. So here we've got a game from Excel Poker, who was ill, and he said he's feeling better. He is not online right now, but he submitted the following with black against the most hated opening, the London. Leo AZ 77 2342. This is a 3-minute game, so this is fast pace. G6 against the London. Now I'm thinking like the Jababa London is probably white's best. But white just plays like the really creepy old school style with E3. And personally, I play a mix of C5 and B6 a lot here. I don't like castling that early, personally. I mean, I play everything, but C5 probably my favorite move in this position. Also B6. Although white can play C4 there and turn it into a kind of Queen's Indian. Most London players don't do that, but it's probably white's best move objectively, if B6. So, alright. I mean, here, the problem is you're playing more of like a standard King's Indian now, which most of these London guys know. H3. Yeah, castles. And now, my preference would be to go with B6. But white played C4. So that's recommended by a lot of people. Actually, white is now transposing to what is almost like a hybrid. It's technically not even a London system anymore. I mean, once white plays C4, I think that it's more like knight C3, knight F3. It's a Smyslav King's Indian sort of setup with the bishop on F4 instead of G5. Roman Gigiashvili used to play this for white. Angelo Young. I know smart players who play the London would know to do this. Most people don't. But C4 is a relatively good move. And now, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really like playing this with black. I guess a lot of people try to do the sort of like knight FD7 type of stuff and play for E5. Or they'll do like knight C6, knight C3, and then knight FD7. You see this a lot. But I think this variation is a little overrated. Time for one more game for proper compensation. Yeah, it all depends on how much compensation you want. How much compensation you have. Alright, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we still have time for one more. That'll be the last one. Let me see. We've got 7 in the list, plus Mule Skinner and Acerbate. Makes 9. Yeah. Nils, you're in time for the last submission for today. Yeah, so I think this variation is a little overrated for black. I don't love it. So he plays C5. This is okay. This is like the way you play against the Smyslav with the bishop on G5 instead of on F4. I don't think the D6 is the most useful move. It's okay. Knight C3. Okay, now I don't know what we're supposed to play here. Having never played this personally. I've played similar positions with white's bishop on G5 as black, but never with the bishop on F4 that I can recall. I don't know. You know, if you play knight C6, white plays D5. I'm not sure that there's Roman. See, I said Roman versus Larry Remlinger, 1993. Not surprising. I hung out with Roman, and he used to like to play this stuff in Blitz. But knight C6 is not good. B6 is not good. You might play bishop F5. That looks like it might be okay. That's probably what I would go with here. Compensation. Yeah, I think I like bishop F5 best. I guess there might be some queen B6 Mark Hebden did a similar thing against me in the bishop g5. You can harass the b2 pawn. I don't think I like this move c takes d4 because of e takes d4. I mean, this is possible, actually. You could do this and play a tempo down. That's interesting. So maybe white, has to take with the pawn. This is obviously not an option. So that's actually not that bad. You can play a tempo down. I doubt very seriously that white is worse here. Computer calls it 0.3. But, most people don't have the skill to play IQP positions well. You like queen a5 in these positions, the bishop's on f4 or g5. Well, I play a lot of bishop g5, and usually queen a5 doesn't work that well against it. But I think here it might be better. White has taken time out to play h3. I mean, one of the problems with this position is that move. That's very costly in terms of time. I mean, that's not a move I'm going to play in a bishop g5 variation ever, almost ever. So he's a move behind where I would be in like a bishop g5 Smyslov system. Yeah, but queen a5 now with that wasted tempo, h3, seems more reasonable. Bishop e2, and now Basim Amin. Basim Amin was 2672. I feel like there's like a big rating inflation between 2600 and 2700. I don't know. It just seems like it's easy to get from 2600 to 2700. It's no big deal. It seems like there's so many people in the 2600s. 94. Yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, castles allows knight takes c3. He's got to defend it. This might be a more active. Queen b3 might be a more active way of playing here for white, rather than queen c2, which walks into like bishop f5. Some guy played queen a4, and black's just like got a better ending. Interesting. He played bishop d7, knight c3, and then just took this slightly better position. I mean, to be fair, I think that white is pretty solid here, and like he should have reasonable chances to hold. But it's the 2600 versus 2200. I don't know. The queen b3 definitely seems like white's best move. You got guys like Grandelius who's been struggling around 2675. I didn't realize he's never been 2700. That's kind of surprising. I assumed he. I mean, he's I don't know. He gets a lot of opportunities. I mean, you have players like Kovalenko, who's like broken 2700, but he's never gotten to play in like half as many elite tournaments like Grandelius. I think it's a matter of favoritism to some degree. Like the guys from like the rich countries like have favored, or just richer people have more opportunities. I don't know, Grandelius strikes me as, I don't know anything about him personally, but he seems like kind of a player who's been very, very well supported by his backers or his country and his family or whatever. You take other players that haven't had as many opportunities. I mean, Grandelius gets to play in like every elite tournament. It seems like he lives a charmed life. There's a lot of strong players who never get invited to elite tournaments. It's interesting. And I guess it helps to be like, from a wealthy country. If you pick out like Kovalenko, like I'm saying, this guy, who's 2700, was European champion. You don't hear about him. No one even knows who he is, I mean, alright. So, knight e4, queen c2. There's a lot of snobism in chess. So white lost the tempo with queen b3. Yeah, well, the same thing, man. You know, Tari is a kind of, you know, Norwegian connected to Magnus, so that's a huge advantage as well. If you're like closely connected to Magnus, you're like automatically, you're like one of Magnus's national teammates. I mean that, yeah, it's chess elitism. You people like that. That's definitely helpful. I mean, who's going to get more invites, like a Syrian grandmaster or a Norwegian grandmaster? You know what I mean? I don't think there are any Syrian grandmasters, but the point is, people are like elitist and racist. So, all right. Bishop f5, queen b3, knight c6. Interesting. I mean, how many like Bulgarian grandmasters? You know, the most successful grandmaster in Hungary in recent years is also like the richest one. Rapport, whose father was pretty wealthy compared to other chess grandmasters. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so, you know. He's the only like top Hungarian player in the last 20 years who's really gotten to an elite level, but he's also probably the wealthiest. Coincidence? I don't think so. Alright, knight e4, queen c2, bishop f5, queen b3, knight c6, castles, and now knight takes c3. Yeah, so if I'm white here, I gotta say I would probably play queen takes c3, but I don't think that black's gonna trade queens, so maybe he's right. It would be fine if black traded queens, but knowing our hero, if queen takes c3, black's probably coming back, you know, avoiding the exchange of queens. Yeah, manager is drinking buddies, the tournament organizer. Well, I mean, if you've got a good manager, like Leko or something. Leko wasn't wealthy, but he was really talented, and he connected with the right people. Alright, knight takes c3, b takes c, and then this move. I don't know about this move. This is Excel poker. No, I mean Leko, for example, was relatively poor. I mean he wasn't a wealthy kid. That was a different era, though. Yeah, the end of Leko came up at the end of the communist era, right when the communist era ended. I'm just comparing like Leko to Rapport, for example. It's a different era now. Yeah, I don't like this e5, man. What would Basim Amin do? I guarantee he would be unlikely to play e5. It's probably not a terrible move, but I hope that there was something better. Something more fluid. Actually, it's a weird move, but I almost want to play like rook b8. Could there be like queen traps? Can we play rook fc8 here? Queen takes b7, rook b8. Hello. Goodbye. And anyway, he can't take on b7, but I like this. So I'm going to say rook fc8, keeping the tension. This is a 3-minute game, screw it. I'm not going to spend forever on this. But let me just bet that rook fc8 is the best move. It's not even on the list. It's not even making top 4. Damn. e5 is the best move. And I criticized him. Why do we have to play rook b8? Oh, because of d5? Oh man, there's a miscalculation involved. So if I play my rook fc8, white has d5, and then the b7 pawn is really in take, possibly. I just want to keep the tension, so I take it back. We'll say rook a b8. That was actually my first move, but I was nervous about this diagonal. But amazingly, it's a 3-minute game. Okay, e5 now goes back. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the structure structurally. There's also the d5 square for white. So white should consider taking. You don't read donos anymore? I have my notification turned off because Arsenal fans said it was annoying. Can you believe it? Sorry, I'll turn it back on. Thank you, Nils. I had my notifications turned on, the volume turned down because of Arsenal. It was bothering him. He couldn't handle it. Nils has tipped $10. Thank you, man. Very serious donation. Would you like to and remember not to use your Amex card if you make a donation. We don't accept Amex. Do you want to do your game next? Your choice. No, but even if like you use your Amex to fund your PayPal, it won't go through. I don't know what's going on. Amex is like on strike against me. They think I live in Russia. I never liked Amex anyway. If anyone tries to donate with Amex, it won't go through. Bishop H2, like you can fund your PayPal with a credit card, so people try to do that. Then they're like, they rejected my Amex. I don't know. Bishop H2, screw Amex. The only company ever to send a collection agency after me. I don't know. It just started. I don't even... They've been begging me to come back for the last 15 years. I refuse to do business with them. I guess they heard I hate them. Alright. No, I think it's something screwed up. Like, they think all of Eastern Europe is Russia or something. It's a really shitty company anyway. So Bishop H2, B6. Queen is awkwardly placed here. G4. I'll do my game next. I'll do your game next. Debbie Dudalis. This is really not normal. That is not a normal move, sir. Black doesn't know if he's playing a King's Indian or a Nimzo, but white played G4. In case you didn't notice, that's a rather risky move. Nah. It's hard to choose a square. You know, this is a big problem. You've got to be careful and aware of Botvinnik ideas. I mean, this obviously drops a piece to d5, but even if it didn't, like, you'd have to watch out for ideas like knight g5, knight e4, knight in here. Black has to be careful. I mean, I would consider bishop c8 as well. Because this bishop might want to come to one of these squares. Here. You know, and also this line. And now white closes it up with d5. Yeah, it's a good Nimzo for black here. I don't think I like d5 either, honestly. I feel like his best chances might be to do something simple like that. I don't like g4. I would have cut out the g4 and like maybe taken on c5. Don't play g4. Just play like d takes c5 here. I mean, I don't think this is that bad for white, maybe. You know, because what are you going to do? If you play e4, you'll have... Well, actually, yeah, still e4 is an issue. It's not so easy for white to deal with this. Yeah, it's true. He doesn't have good control of the center. It's still a problem. No, I still don't like white. Alright, but g4 is horrible. d5 is not great. And now he tries to turn into a normal King's Indian. White, I mean. And now e4. He's trying to lock the whole board, it looks like. This is a really tough decision. I'm going to have to go through the games a little faster. We'll do Nils's game next. But I just want to make the statement that under normal circumstances, this is the most pivotal decision in a lot of King's Indians. Whether you push to f4, keep the tension, or take, usually on e4. Because they're completely different possibilities. Like if you take, you have a kind of open position. If you push, it's extremely locked. If you let black, let white capture on f5, maybe there's an e4 square. But here, keep in mind, like white is playing with their bishop on h2. This is not such a bad situation though. Like if f4, f3, the bishop can kind of wiggle its way back in the game. I don't think f4 is very good here. White plays f3, king g2, the bishop can slowly re-enter the game, and the structure is totally locked. It's probably very, very drawish after that. So black doesn't want to lock it up too much. I would seriously, look at this. But I'm not really enthusiastic about bishop takes g4. Nils is on my mind here. Excel Pilker found a good move though. It looks like bishop h6 is best. It basically wins control of e4. And white missed it. So maybe here he can try to sack a pawn. Yeah, he does it. Queen c2. This is also a good move. Because if you give up your dark square, bishop takes, try to win the pawn. I mean, I would imagine there's some sort of disruptive counter chances, though maybe it's not enough. Queen here, queen here. I mean, I suppose here black's still better. I mean, queen g5 like rook e8. This pawn on c3 is hanging and black's up a pawn here. I don't think that he's worse. It's a good Nimzo. Black just keeps the structure. I mean, white totally burned his bridges behind him. If that pawn is back on g2, it's not that bad. This is a bad square for the knight. I'm a little worried about our queen, being out of play. And then white played f4. Wow. So this is huge, this cave-in with e5. We have to take on f4 with something. I'm not sure which is better. Bishop takes, and now you've got to consider g5, of course. I would imagine white could sack the exchange, though. Not really sure what's happening there. So instead, he just keeps the tension. No, at this point, if we play like white and we're Yasser Sarawon, we would normally do the Yasser structural approach, which is take, and g5, keeping the pawns united, giving black two Isolanis. But I mean, I'm not sure about this position. I mean, here, now the rook has to retreat. We have a passed pawn, strong e5 square. I'm not sure about black, though. I mean, should the queen have gone to a3? Or should that queen have gone back to a6? I mean, seriously. Could our queen go here and maybe potentially come back? Could our queen go here and maybe potentially get back in the game via that diagonal? Or is the queen, misplaced on a3? Unclear. Anyway, interesting game for a blitz game. But what black did is totally playable. Oh, this is a blunder now. So he hung the pawn. He played knight g6 and now he has to, it looks like he has to defend it. I mean, objectively, white is fine, right? I mean, he can play f4. I don't know if that's a problem. He can definitely take. And then we'd see, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Black is better because black has less weaknesses. But let's say, takes. I don't like that queen on a3 in a way. It's very out of play. And now this queen is starting to come in here. I really think queen a3 was a mistake for black. So he sacks a pawn and then pulls the queen back to a4. And white is better. Now he sacks his a2 pawn. Yeah, that was sort of stupid. I mean, it looks like white is better, but also not so easy to make progress. This is hanging. So easier said than done. Easier said than done. I don't know. What's the engine say? It's equal. Okay. Fair enough. King h2. It's a good move. Defending h3. And white is better by 0.1. Durabali! Durabali is raiding with a party of 27. Mr. Coffee. Let him say hi. Cheers, GM Durabali. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. He probably doesn't pronounce mine right. Alright. Thank you for the raid. Vasif. $27 players rated by Grandmaster Durabali. Thank you very much for the raid. To our master analysis stream here. So I don't know, this is a crazy position. It's just a 3-minute game, and now it looks like it got random. But now the queen is justified. It was a brave move to take on a2 with that rook on f2. But I mean, this was a really fast game. We normally don't go over like fast blitz games here. Bishop h5, rook g7 check here. That's kind of funny. And now we're just trading. Okay, so we have an interesting position now. Equal material for a moment, but the structure pays now. It's a disaster, like white's pawn structure. Look how good black's pawn structure is, that one island there on a7, c5, b6, and d6, all in the correct color. White's just like falling apart, crumbling. Yeah, he didn't want to get to an endgame like this. This is a disaster. Well, black has a protected pass pawn on the a file. There's no chance of survival here. All the pawns on the right color, up a pawn, bad pawn structure for white. The last thing white wants to do there is like trade queens. And then a knight endgame is very decisive. Basically, if black didn't have an a pawn, he's still probably better. Maybe not, maybe not. But there's no halfway here. I mean, this is just winning. Yeah, white just blundered another pawn. King g3. But, I mean, there's no stopping this a pawn. It's over. Anyway, that was cool. Thanks for the raid. 2 connectors. Yeah, game over. Okay. Interesting game, though. Alright. Thanks for the raid from Grandmaster Durabali. Also, from Nils for the donation. We're going to go to Nils's game next. We did put it in, didn't we? Maybe I didn't. Alright. Nils. Looks like a Rapport game. Oh, looks like Rapport's going to hold. You're talking about now. I didn't see the games for today. Oh, wow. So he won the first game nicely with white. Yeah, that was surprising. He played some weird move in a Grunfeld yesterday and caught Vasher out of his prep. And then, like, black just like got hoisted on his own petard. He lost horribly. Really, really bad game by Vasher yesterday. And it's hard to recover. I am black. I am black. Anonymous versus Anonymous. Nils is a hacker. Alright. Here we go. So your game is over the board, 90 minutes. Yeah, but speaking of Rapport holding, would put him in the final. I'm not following that tournament for political reasons, you know. But I do admit that I was curious to see who the finalists are. But I don't support that FIDE event. Can you flip it? Absolutely, sir. Knight f3, knight f6. Nils is a player who likes to play the Grunfeld, but his opponent played d3. Yeah, it looks like you're getting a King's Indian attack, would be my assumption here. So you're a guy who's playing d4 with white. You know, that gives you the ability to play queen pawn positions a tempo down. Yeah, so this move makes sense. if you are a queen pawn player, that's no problem. If you're an e4 player, I would think like this isn't necessarily what you want to do. So you can do this. It's obviously not related to playing the Grunfeld. But Nils, Nils, what are you playing against e4 again? You're playing e4, e5, right? Yeah. Okay, so d3, d5, g3, and now bishop g4. Yeah, this is kind of an unusual. This is kind of an unusual move order. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to recommend to an e4, e5 player how to respond against knight f3, you know. If you're a Sicilian player, I would say, okay, like me, I can play knight f3, c5. But, you know, if you play e4, e5, I'm not going to say you should play like knight f3, knight c6 or something. Alright. I mean, what would most Grunfeld players here do? I mean, you can obviously play like g6. The problem is, like, what are you going to do after e4? You know, why give white e4? No, d5 is correct. g3 now. Well, I mean, I think it kind of depends on what you play with white against the King's Indian. You know, that's really what you should be asking yourself. How do you like to play with the white pieces against the King's Indian if you're a d4 player? Well, I mean, it's basically just a weird move order King's Indian attack, okay? But how do you play when you're white against the King's Indian? Should factor in your decision here. If you play like mainline King's Indians, yeah, it's not so easy to do that like a tempo down. I mean, if you want to play this like bishop g4 type of thing, there's probably nothing wrong with that. By the way, you're just playing a Trompowsky or a Tory attack in reverse. You can see here, like, a lot of people play, like, c6, of course. Yeah, nothing wrong with bishop g4. There's no rush to play c6. The only problem is in this type of situation with the knight d2, I mean, you don't really want to trade your bishop off for nothing, necessarily. You can just, like, recapture with the other knight. And I think that in most cases people will tend to play, like, c6. Wait and see what white does. There. Now probably bishop g4. You know, but again, he can play knight on bd2. Yeah, I mean, it's just a normal... It's a normal Tory attack. There's nothing wrong with bishop g4. Here. And now you played e6. But I think, like, objectively, when you're playing the Tory attack, it's like slightly passive to play the e3 Tory attack. We should try to play for e5 rather than e6 if given that opportunity. So this, my guess is that, like, it would be better to play knight on bd7 first. You know, I don't know though, like if you're playing Kramnik, for example, he might try something funky like h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6. Kramnik, like, lost to, he lost some game in the Isle of Man a couple of years ago before he retired to James Tarjan, which is actually pronounced Tarjan. It's a Hungarian name, but he doesn't pronounce it that way. Tarjan beat Kramnik. I remember Kramnik played some rope-a-dope type of setup in a King's Indian similar to this. I mean, this is logical, though, to go for your bishop. You know, I don't know how you want to handle this if this kind of thing comes up. But that's typically the move order that black would use. You could also play c6, though. So bishop g4, knight on bd2, you can play c6. You know, that way, if he plays h3 here, well, I mean, I guess we're still going to go that way. I mean, I don't think you're going to pull it back this direction. Not to say you couldn't, but I just don't like this, though. White can take with the knight. White can even take with the e-pawn and play like f4 and play it like a Trompowsky. So, alright. So e6 is kind of restrained. I mean, I would argue that you're playing slightly passively here. It's more like a Caro-Kann. but it's fine. I prefer to try to play e5 if you can. You know, so in other words, if you play knight on bd7, he does bishop g2, then you go with e5. And then we're gonna probably play c6 and have the solid center with the two pawns in the middle. Alright, anyway. This is reasonable. Now bishop e7, yeah. Bishop e7 is the most natural square here. You don't want to set yourself up for a piece fork. A lot of donkeys. I don't know, do you call them donkeys in chess? We call them donkeys in poker. So donks, chess donks. They'll like put their bishop on d6 and get forked by e4, e5 at some future point. I mean, basically that's like a donk setup. You know, you don't want to put your pieces in that way that you're allowing white to play e4, e5 ever. So I think you either put your bishop on e7, you play e5 yourself, or maybe you could consider something funky like bishop c5. Here's a couple of GMs, actually recent games, where black played bishop c5. Okay, so bishop e7, castles, very safe setup, and now b3, which is not bad. George Meyer. Now you have a big moment of decision here, because you have to decide whether to opt to go for c5 or c6 with a more restrained type of formation. c5 is way more aggressive. Somebody played a5. Never a bad idea against that fianchetto. I don't think that a5 is a bad move at all. a5, c6, maybe b5 later on. Knight on bd7, obviously. a5 is definitely never bad against like the b3. You got the threat of a4. I know from white's side. I feel uncomfortable when that happens. So a5 is a good move as well. This is fundamentally okay though. So he's basically playing a Queen's Indian double fianchetto against your Tory attack. But basically you can shut him down. Interesting, he doesn't put his bishop on b2. First, I would play bishop b2 normally. He plays c4. So if d4, I mean, there are some issues. There's like h3, bishop h5, g4 here, knight h4. The b7 pawn is hanging. It's not so easy. We can probably defend. But bishop b2 doesn't necessarily benefit white. Knight c6. And now what? Bishop b2. It kind of looks like he has a problem here. Actually. Because you really are going to be threatening d4 now. And it actually makes me wonder if c4 is a mistake. Because we could keep that in reserve. And white plays bishop b2. Knight c6. I mean, d4 doesn't really take on that much strength until he's played c4. So when I'm white, I normally play for e4, not c4 in this type of structure. h3, or maybe even queen e1. Gotta watch that. e3 even. So I think this c4 is a mistake. Knight c6 is strong. a3 now looks very slow. And now you're good. And I think white has some problems now. I think he has to go for that bishop, like, pretty soon, if not immediately. Maybe he has to try this, like it or not, you know. h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, and knight h4. I don't really have another suggestion for white. For better or for worse, I think he ought to do this, you know. Not everyone's cup of tea, but it's hard to mate him, you know. I mean, you can push or not push. Let's say like you push. He plays I don't know, knight takes g6, h takes g6, knight e4 or knight f3. I'm not sure exactly what white should play. He tries to get like e3 break in maybe. But other than that, I don't see a plan for white. You know, like he kind of has to go for your bishop. Now he's just going to get sandwiched. Yeah, this is a totally big problem. It's the queen's Indian bishop getting shut down. So that didn't do him any good. Like, he doesn't have a banco. He doesn't have e3. He doesn't have any way to counterattack your center. He still has this plan, like h3, bishop h5, g4, whatever. But that doesn't have any relation to that bishop on b2. Whatever happens here, okay, fine. But, I mean, his bishop on b2 is just shut down. You know, that's not really a good thing for white. He might as well just left his bishop on c1. But the formation isn't good, you know, like b3, knight d2. That's why you don't play knight d7 in the Benoni. You don't astrobate. You don't block your c8 bishop with your knight on d7 in the Benoni. You know, that bishop is a problem with the knight on d2. If he could trade a set of pieces, he would be fine. You know, one of those queenside pieces off, but this is a bad bishop. You know, now he's playing a nice square, right? I always talk about this. The queen on c2 sucks. It's a disaster. This guy has to do h3 and g4 and go for your bishop. You know, maybe there's no other plan even conceivable here. Look at that queen. Like, is that a pawn or is that a queen? Because I'm not sure. It's a seriously ridiculous piece. I guess there's one idea. He might be able to play e3. If he can play e3, he might be alright. Which means that you actually have to consider bishop f5, but he'll hit you with knight h4. He'll hit you with knight h4. So that's why you played h6. But, damn, I don't know. Can we put pressure on the d3 pawn? Can we play... It's a little weird. I was going to suggest something like... Actually, he has problems playing queen d7 to just pile up here. If he tries to play e3, he can take and then play like rook d8, but he's coming with d4. Maybe white can get away with this. That's the question. I would say like the normal move for you is probably knight d7, but he's really has to play e3. Okay, we'll play e5, screw it. Yeah, you have a good game. Yeah, you have a good game here. No, this is the way to do it. Just play knight d7. Yeah, you made a mistake. Just simply play knight d7. Yeah, he's screwed now. Does he have b4? No. I mean, I don't see it. Maybe he can try it. b4. Try to play it like a banco. If ab4, ab4, knight b4, he's like losing a pawn. I don't see how this banco is quite good enough for white. I think he's just a little short here. Yeah, so it looks like knight d7 strong. Let's check with the oracle. It likes your move, but I don't understand. Doesn't white have e3? You're just gonna play e5 anyway. So the oracle likes my move, but it likes your move even more. Nope, now we're in first place. I've been moved up to first place. Nope, e5. e5 right away. Okay, that's another solution. Yeah, this is also very strong, of course. Nothing wrong with e5 right away. That way you're not even, you don't have to even commit. Yeah, of course. I mean, e5 is good too. I mean, that you're going to play that next move. And that actually gives your bishop retreat squares. So if he tries anything fancy now, it's a totally different ball game. I mean, you could even retreat your bishop. Well, you could retreat your bishop back to c8 if you want to. You know? I like this square. This is a ridiculous queen's... What is this? Queenside. That's horrible for white. It's a horrible Benoni. So h6, he's got to try e3, then you play e5. If he plays e3, you've got to play e5. That's the only important thing here. But he didn't try it. I mean, it's his only chance. Or he could play e4 and have like a really kind of stupid looking King's Indian. Maybe it's not so bad. It's not good though. You got a weird King's Indian. I mean, like e5 here. Should be good for you. Now rook fe1. Okay. I guess not the worst move ever, but you have like bishop f5 here. You got offered an internship abroad in Atlanta, Georgia. Celebration time. Nice. You'll have to look up my friend, International Master Carlos Perdomo. He does a lot of chess stuff in Atlanta. He's a Colombian, a former Colombian IM. He's a really good guy, based in Atlanta. If you ever want to play chess or rook fe1, get involved with chess in Atlanta. Rook fe1. Now bishop f5. So you played, yeah, you played queen c7. That's not a bad move. Here, 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 and now Nils. I need to see your MasterCard, your Amex. I don't know, guys. I'm always down with taking with the C pawn. As a d4 player, I'll always take with the C pawn. Okay, whew, I was worried. I didn't look at the moves, you know, so I was like, good, good. No, you take with the C pawn if you can. Now h3. Yeah, bishop f5. That's a good square. But, you know, you gotta be thoughtful. There are other options. You could go all the way back. I don't love d7 because you block your knight's retreat. But you have options here. This is a possibility. You might be able to play like that, but bishop f5 looks most natural. Now, I assume white should try like knight e4, but he's running like headlong into this. Hitting his knight on h4. Spassky Fischer style. Not something you normally want to allow. So he plays instead knight f3, but that's pretty lame. Now you played knight d7. And then this is just useless. Forget about rook d1. I guess he just wants to clear his bishop back to c1. But I mean, white needs to trade pieces, man. White's got problems here. Maybe even knight h2. I mean, yeah, he's in a bad way. This is a bad Benoni. Now knight c5. Oof. Yeah, and then it's just like structural disaster. Oh no, you didn't do that. You went back. Wow, that's interesting. I think I would probably cash in here. Oh, it's a tough call though. Isn't b3 just hanging? No, he can defend it. Like bishop e4, pawn takes, queen b6, knight d2. This does look awful for white though. Dude, he's done. You have like bishop g5 now. I think he's just done. It's over. 2 knights versus 2 bishops. But his pawn is kind of important, man. And you have like a protected passer on d4. Ooh. This looks really gross. He played rook 81, you played knight c5, he went here. You know, so here it's like you're better, but I could see how it could be very hard to make progress. Silman actually talks about a structure like this, one of his books, where he was able to like put pressure on this with the bishop on e6 somehow, you know, and then play a4 and lever like the white queen side pawns. But this situation is a little tricky because your bishop's buried on h7. You know, that bishop can be hard to like get in the game, you know, unless you can play f5, and you don't necessarily always want to do that. So I think this is a case where you take this way. Yeah, but I mean, you're better here, have difficulty making progress. You notice that weakness though. And then it's just it all works. He's got to play knight d2, and then you win by bishop g5. Can't protect the b3 pawn. It's a serially bad Benoni. I mean, if f4, you're just taking. Does he have an out here, maybe? Maybe he has, like, a miracle. He has this, like, h4, but don't think this is going to save him. I seriously doubt it. Like, this is crushing, right? Ooh. Yeah, no, it's all falling apart on the dark squares. Okay, so Nils like didn't exchange knights. Alright, it's not a tragedy. Knight e4, knight d7. Yeah, c5. He needs to go c5. Asterbait would sack that pawn for sure. He's got to try something. But I think you would probably... I won a pawn like this against Asterbait last game. I mean, you probably take the pawn, and it's hard to say, like... He has some compensation, but it's not enough. You know, I think white's still in trouble either way. Objectively, he shouldn't play c5. I guess he should just, like, play g4, you know. I have a lot of friends who play the Benoni. It's awful, but... Yeah, this is awful for white. This looks really ugly, dude. Like, bishop takes... And then you have like knight c5, knight e6, knight f4. It's a horrible position. g5 is like desperation in the Benoni. That's what he did. Yeah, now you played f5, which is good. I've played a lot of games like this. You know, f5 is not bad. But Nils, it's interesting. Nils, he didn't want to give up his bishop. But I think this is good as well. This is good as well. More of a slow stranglehold. With those weak points on like b3 and f4. His bishop, man, it's like it's the worst piece on the board, right? Both of his bishops are sick, you know. Look at your bad bishop. It's like rock and rolling. In this position, your bad bishop is better than both of his bishops combined. This is pretty funny, actually, if you think about it. You have 2 good knights in a closed structure with like, what, 14 pawns on the board, and your one bishop is literally better than his 2 bishops. So, you know, maybe you're a little unwilling to give up your bishop there. Obviously, he could take with the rook. Maybe that's better. But I still think he has problems. I guess this is better, though, truthfully. He should take with the rook and go back. Maybe it's not so easy, but you're still seriously better. Never give up bishops. No, you need a signed release form. But I would give you permission to take here. f5 is good, though. I've played a lot of games like this. Yeah, I mean, obviously he has to take. You're clearly better. But it's not so easy to break them down in this type of structure. I played a lot of games like this. What you really want to do is like e4. But I don't think it's going to work. Never know, though. I mean, you might have the sealer sweeper here. You know, you're real close to this type of thing where you can do a pawn sack. No. I guess it's not working. Alright, I don't see it. It's not working. Okay, so takes. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to play e4. But I guess the simple approach is okay. Yeah, I mean, that's not a move White wants to play. I'm sorry. For better or for worse, in health and in poverty, White should probably play rook e2. You know, this is not something that you want to do. Because now, those, what are those? Is that like Chinese chess or something? Seriously. The decorations? It's the pale man. The eyes from the pale man. The eyes are looking at you. I mean, those bishops are sick. Bishop h4. Ooh, that's nice. That's a nice slice. See, I was telling you your bishop is worth both of his bishops. He does have this move, though. You could probably sack the exchange for his bad bishop and still be fine. But we don't really want to do that. I'm just kidding around. He's lucky he has that defense. Whoa. Whoa. What is this? Nice. Goodness me. We've got a... Ooh. Yeah, maybe he has to consider sacking an exchange. This is to be considered for sure. Like, he's still in trouble. Alright. I don't know if e4 is good enough, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. This is a nice sack. I don't know what to recommend. That's a strong move. Whatever he does. You're coming with like 95, right? Yeah. This is a beautiful game. I highly recommend it. This is a beautiful diagonal. You've got all sorts of tactics. If he tries to take your pawn, you're pummeling the f3 square. And he's about to get shattered. Now, like, rook takes f3 is fine. You also have rook takes. I mean, you could just... It's just an exchange. If you take with a rook, you know, he takes, you take with a knight. You've got another knight to come to e5. You're clearly better. But let's see which is better. You also have d3 sometimes. I'm a little bit brain dead. Triple attack is game over. He has to try knight f5 now. White just like hung a piece here. Are you kidding me? Say what? I think he was totally like disoriented. Can you count the material for me? It's 2 rooks, 3 minor pieces each. And he goes there? Wait, that's a whole knight, dude. The guy literally has one move, I guess, like knight f5. And he drops an exchange, but I mean, that's like... It's horrible, but what do you want? What else is he supposed to play here? You can't just drop a whole piece. I mean, that's ridiculous. Nice game, Nils. Seriously. It was worth every penny. This is beautiful. Beautiful. No. You played, you know, you played like me. What can I say? Nice job. Yeah, That's the standard day at the office for me. Alright, good job from Nils. We've been way too lax, guys, slowness. It's 8:15 already. I've only gotten through like 3 games. Uber Driver's up next. That's a short one. Actually, yeah, Uber Driver's up next. It's a short one. Uber Driver with a fun, short submission. Just for fun. He played the Aliakin. Again, thanks for the donation. Thanks for the raid from Durabai. Nice game, though, Nils. You showed a very good feel for that Benoni structure. Knight d5, d4, and now knight b6, the Zoli Varga variation. Well, you know, you're kind of like weaker on the tactical side. You need to improve your tactics, Nils. You're not sharp enough tactically. I think like strategically you're pretty advanced. So that was a perfect type of position for you. Mostly strategic stuff going on. Some tactics, but not a lot. You know, but you found the important one, like e4. And yeah, that was excellent. Yeah, good use of space, as Mock Master said. You have to be a pretty good player to take advantage of a space advantage, and Nils shows that he understands. How to play properly without overextending yourself. But I think you've got to be willing. The one thing to take away would be you'd be willing to give up your bishop for knight a little more freely in certain positions. Although some people take it too far. This is Zoltan Varga's line. I forget. Like, he had a game with Brian Smith back in like 2008 or 9 when, I don't remember when it was. Maybe it was like 2007, 8. Brian had a game where he was playing against Varga Zoli. And I don't remember what Brian played. It had to have been c4. Maybe Brian played a4, actually. I don't remember. We could find it in here. There's Csaba Balog against Varga around the same time. Vito Levente against Varga. But I mean, okay, this is more standard. It looks like Jeffrey Zhang plays the Aliakin's defense. Dusko Kovacevic, Varga, back in 2004. The problem with c4, though, that I don't get, right, this can't be what Brian played, because this just transposes to a normal variation. It has to be a4. Now, dude, the move has to be a4. So that's Uber Driver. He's not here. This has a bad score. But I think it's actually good. I'm pretty sure that's what Brian prepared. I don't remember what happened in his game. But he's a guy who's kind of into a lot of opening preparation. Yeah, I mean, black has to maybe go a5. So the Uber Driver's game was d5. I'm sorry. It was c4, d5. I don't know what this is. It's a weird line. I mean, clearly d6 is a transition to a mainline exchange Aliakin. So this is just some weird sideline. Okay. If you take on d5, does that transpose to the Queen's Gambit accepted? I think so. Right? It transposes to a martial defense, doesn't it? Like, bear with me here, but it's like d4, knight f6, c4, d5, pawn takes d5, knight takes d5, e4, knight b6, e5, right? Is this the same exact position, same tempo situation? After d5. Well, okay, I mean, if white plays cd5, you have to take with the knight. So how would this be compared to Queen's Gambit accepted? White doesn't have to play cd5, though. I mean, it's certainly a good move, though. It's funny, like 3 games in this position, and one played CD5. I mean, C5 is also very scary. This looks like something Asterbait would do. Harika, women's man grandmaster. Woman man grandmaster. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't look like a position I want to play with black particularly. So I don't think I like this variation. C5 is good. Normal people don't play this Uber driver. Yeah, I mean, I think you should just play D6. But okay. I mean, clearly white has both C5 and C takes D5. But white played a bad move. He did that. That's like really, really dumb. I mean, what does that do? It doesn't do anything. I would think like black... I don't know. Now I'm going too far. I wanted to play C5. Still white's position is okay, I guess, even after this. So a funny thing happened. It's the Tarash French. A funny thing happened on the way to the... It looks like a really messed up Caro Kann. You know, so still white is okay. Knight F3. D takes C4. Knight takes C4. White space offsets his bad backward pawn. Then E6. Now white has to be a bit careful, perhaps. I was considering maybe knight E3. Avoiding exchanges. Leaving the crappy knight on B6. Hitting that. You know, if bishop e4 check, no problem. You know, we'll play bishop d2, and you can trade your good bishop if you want to. But I think this is the real atrocity. Bishop d3. That allows black to play bishop b4 check. And now white has to move his king. I mean, no choice. It's not that bad, is it? King e2. It's not great, but it's probably not that bad. White played this. It's a very high-level game by Uber Driver. And now resigned because he missed bishop takes here. Presumably. But is this even clear? Because doesn't... Am I missing something? Doesn't he have knight takes b6? I guess the lesson is, like, don't resign unless you're sure you're lost. Is white even lost here? Do we have a trick? I don't see it. I mean, I guess black's better, but I don't know that black's winning. Like, A takes B, bishop takes B4, and white can't castle. So, BFD. Neither can black. Did this guy, like, seriously resign in a not lost position? Yeah. Bishop takes D3, knight takes B6. A takes B6, bishop takes B4, and now your best move is, like, bishop E4. And you gotta ask yourself, I mean, is white definitely lost? No, it's not so easy. So that was a lesson in when not to resign from Uber Driver. Not clear. But it does seem apparent that white didn't play it right. Okay, Sumaher is up next. Sumaher. Thanks everyone for joining us. We've got a bunch more games still to go. Guys, thanks to Nils for the $10 donation. Don't forget, support the stream. Gift a sub now. No gift subs this week? That's weird. Cheesemate, Mr. Coffee donated 500 today. Agnes Karadzuski, thanks to you guys for supporting the stream. I don't know, Move 11. I mean, it's just, yeah, not so easy. Black still has to solve the problem of his king being in the center as well. I agree. Not so easy. Black is better. Ops color bishops, better control of key squares like e4 and d5. But like plus 1.5 or something. Not so easy. It was a weird submission from Uber Driver. I don't know what to make of that. Alright, so Sumaher is playing black in exchange Caro-Kann. No, it's the Panov. Okay, I've given him a lot of training here. It's interesting, his move order. With e6, it's almost like you want to make sure that you can take back with the pawn on d5. Nothing wrong with that move. Most people play knight f6 here. Is there something wrong with knight c6? I guess that would could transpose to something weird. But this technically, what is this, a c3 Sicilian? It transposes to like a weird Scandinavian line. Or c3 Sicilian or something. I don't know, it's an unusual move order by Sumaher. Most people play knight f6. I mean, are you bothered by having, you know, your knight on d5? You really want a pawn on d5? Okay. I mean, in a way, I guess you avoid that exchange because this is very sterile. The white still has a slight edge. Very tiny edge. Now, I mean, mostly knight c3 first. Knight f3. And now we have back to a standard position. So he plays bishop e7. I like the Nimzo, but nothing wrong with bishop e7. This is like old school. In the old days, before the dinosaurs, I think a lot of people went for these sort of c5 lines. I remember studying stuff like this, like castles, b4. There's some crazy games that could become very imbalanced there. I find it easier to play bishop b4. So this is actually a Nimzo after... I'm sorry, not a Nimzo. Queen's Gambit accepted. A Steinitz Queen's Gambit accepted after takes on c4. Bishop b4 would be a Nimzo. Here, here, and that's a weird move. So queen c2 is just a weird move here. I don't know what the best move is. Bishop g5 is a move that I've played before. I know that Sumaher has misplayed this in the past, where he played like knight c6. I don't like this variation for black. Although it's playable, it's rather passive. I like white after c5. I think it's good to keep that knight back on d7. Because if you play bishop e7, white plays this. This knight here is good. It keeps control of c6. You can play like b6 and not have to worry about getting overrun by pawns on the queen side. You also have good control of these squares, like d7 and that. You can bring this knight on f back to d7 without losing control of c6. There's a lot of benefits. So this is a better move order. Bishop d3, I don't know. It's a Steinitz if you take on c4. Castle, queen c2. Bad move. Why is our queen on c2? This is not the correct square. It's the dumb end of the battery. We're going to have to play a3. The queen should be on e2, if anywhere. Not sure about move order here. I mean, clearly black can play knight c6. The problem is, I guess, a3. Then our knight on c6 blocks our bishop from getting to the long diagonal. So take b6. And then we have a very strange move by black. If you say A, you know, you should say B. Why would you play b6 and not follow up with bishop b7? I mean, white could potentially push to d5. There are tricks. And honestly, like, this is kind of passive. You should definitely play bishop b7. And then think about this, you know, which square is better depending on what white does, I guess. You know, I just realized there's a mistake here. No, queen c2 is really bad, man, because I think, like, this is a problem, isn't it? Don't we have knight c6 right away? I mean, can we take this pawn? After a3 takes, right? Can we take this pawn? Knight takes d4, queen d4, hitting the bishop on c4. Totally the queen's on the wrong square. We have a check on e5. So knight b5 is like, okay, check. Bishop e3, what are you going to do? White's screwed, you know? No, Sumehara, he has this. I mean, white's in trouble now. This is terrible. Knight c6, threatening double threat. Threatening a double threat. No, of course it's better for black. White's got serious problems after knight c6, but he missed it. Best is probably white, like, gives up the bishop, I guess. You ought to consider, like, doing this, you know, here. Let him have your bishop. I presume, like, here. What's the eval? Tricky situation still. Only a tiny bit better for black. But this bishop gets in the game somehow, white could be in serious trouble. No, I mean, Sumehara plays too fast in the openings. This is a 10-minute game, though. He missed it. He let him get away with murder there. No, this is not a great square. Honestly, maybe it's not that bad. I don't know where white should put that bishop in this setup. He's aiming at this, but nothing really there. It's kind of attacking the air. Zukertort put his, like, bishop on e5 in the game against Steinitz. I mean, really, you don't want the knight here, because it's, like, better on c6 to threaten knight b4, knight a5, and knight d4. The knight is much more active on c6. This is difficult to put pressure on the white position. The knight has no squares to go to. Like, where's it going to go? You going to put it on f8? So white should play queen e2, I guess. And then, like, rook c8, bishop b3. Like, where am I going to put my knight? It's like b8 or something? Am I going to go back here? I just hit my funny bone with the chair. That's why I made that, like, weird noise. I reached back and I hit my elbow on that exact point. That gives you that freaky feeling. This is sort of weird. Trading pieces, absolutely lifeless for white. And now he doesn't do the Zukertort. Do the Zukertort. Do the roar. Zukertort recapture. Pawn takes. Yawn. This is where I, like, offer a draw, probably. Because it's just hopeless. You know, maybe he has an interesting idea. White can give up the bishop on d5, not the knight. Take with the bishop and then pin. Is it enough for an advantage? Probably not. You know, in fact, maybe black takes to the pawn here. I would say you take with the pawn. White probably plays like rook a d1 and then queen d7, ensuring up the white squares. Position is approximately equal, though I guess anything could happen. That's the safest continuation. Instead, white did pinning immediately. Now, we could sack the queen. He did it. He sacked his queen. This is just being, like, you're just being a troll. Knight takes f4. This is something you do against, like, a weak player, because you know you're better than them at the bar. The bartender who can't play chess. Show off by, like, sacking your queen for not enough compensation or something. I'm very skeptical of this. You know, I think this is incorrect. Takes, you know, and in fact, maybe taking with the F rook makes more sense than the A rook. Because this A rook can come to C8. I mean, it's active there. Why would you take with the A rook? What's your rook going to do on F8? Now F3, check, and then what? You know, this is the problem. It's a dead end. Black's lucky if he's equal here. I mean, what do we have? Rook d4, maybe? He did it. The best try. The other possibility is like bishop b4. But rook d4 threatening to double on the 7th. And now white has to be careful. Rook f d8. Yeah, it's time. The time has come. Wow. Yeah, but maybe black really has something here. I'm almost certain that it's not enough, but I see how he wins. The problem is, like, rook d1, right? Black can play knight d3 with the threat of knight f2. I'm not sure, is that, yeah, that is a threat, right? It seems difficult to defend against that. This is really tricky. Rook d2 only move. And white is just hanging on. Wow. Move 11 would find something. Move e11. I guess if we're desperate, we could play... I know it's horrifying. I don't even want to say it, but like g3? If we're really desperate, you could try that, but then I guess knight g6 and just simply eating that pawn on e5. It does look like black is better. g3 is really bad. Wow. So white is in dangerous straits now. I guess there's knight b1. There's always knight b1. Maybe knight e4. Definitely not g3. Okay, let's say knight e4. You gotta do something, man. I mean, this move might hold on. Because, like, the white squares are weak. Takes, you gotta do that, and then that, and then that. And now our knight is hanging. But, I mean, we don't have that much firepower without the white square bishop. So, presumably, like, queen here. There are still funky mates like that. Rook takes f4, rook g1 mate. And then we're threatening to double down on the 7th with another mate on h2. So let's make sure that doesn't happen, boys and girls. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It's winning for black, apparently. Wow. Very interesting. So g3 looks good, too. Rubinstein Jr. Wow. I expected knight g5, but perhaps it's not fast enough. So this is a really impressive move. He still has knight e4, though. He missed it. Materialism kills another player. Yeah, he can save the game with knight e4. That's what I did. I did some fancy. I still don't know if that's really how the game went, man. One day I'll get my game scores and make the... I'm still suspicious of that game. I don't understand why I would sack my queen against Sunil. You know, when I was like practically getting close to my peak strength. I don't know. That was weird, though. I don't remember. It might have been like near the end of the tournament where I didn't have such a good event. It's very possible that was like a late round in a bad World Open. Maybe that was a year where I didn't do well, and maybe I really was just like messing around. I sacked my queen against Nakamura's stepdad. Rook d3, queen h3, rook f3, and then it's like over. Nice though, nice. I felt that the sack was unsound and fancy, you know, just being fancy here with knight takes f4. But maybe the truth is that he didn't have an active alternative. Maybe Sumher felt like his only chance to play for a win was doing this. And he may be right, because all the other possible variations are very passive. This is the only active move he can play here. But he definitely took, I think, with the wrong rook. You know, I got to admit that this has to be better. So if you play the same line, f3, sorry, rook f takes f3, you have additional possibility of the rook coming here. That's actually the best move in this position. I don't see the advantage of rook a takes. This was another possibility which I mentioned, bishop d4. Did white miss something? Oh, he did miss something. Wow. We missed something. There was a key move here. Knight b5. Defending c4 and counterattacking. He would have rejected the attack with this move. So things weren't so clear. This was actually a mistake. Not a perfect game. But he did have enough compensation for the queen, but not more. Alright, next game. Move 11 in the house. Move 11. With a draw against Zdanskin. Alright. Yeah, knight takes f4 is giving him enough. So it wasn't a bad move. Otherwise, it's probably like a very boring draw. Or black is a tiny bit worse. It was interesting. Yeah, Larry C would do that. He would do that queen sack and blitz. It looks like a Larry C blitz sack, honestly. To me. Larry always liked to like get weird material imbalances if he could. So it's whatever. ZZ top, playing against move 11. Move 11 is now in the master ranks. Sicilian Defense with f4. Now, I always recommend the d5, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing other moves like knight c6. There's nothing wrong with knight c6. It's perfectly okay. Also, e6 is perfectly okay. So take your pick. You know, some players might argue that e6 is like black's best move. E6 is like the refutation to the Grand Prix attack on some level. Because, I mean, when you break it down, it's like, when you go, whatever, I play d5, I've equalized already. I was surprised when Richard Palliser recommended e6 against the close Sicilian in his book like 15 years ago. Because everyone else always recommends like g6 against the close Sicilian. But, you know, I think particularly against the Grand Prix attack, because this looks stupid, you know, like, that looks really stupid, the bishop on f4, I mean the pawn on f4. The pawn on f4, it just, it's awful. It, like, creates weaknesses on this diagonal, on this diagonal. It blocks the bishop on c1. Gives white a little more control over e5, but it's not worth it, you know. It's just, there's more trouble than it's worth. It's kind of like this, we would play like a Scandinavian. How was it? Yeah, okay, like in the Pierts, this is recommended. Like, if you play the Pierts and white plays f4, I think black's supposed to play like d5 here. The same basic principle. Like, this is just like a useless move. Is that a smartwatch? That's half of my Ukrainian flag. I can't find my yellow half. Alright. e4, c5, f4, d5, tile gambit. Now, the safe bet here for white, I think, is the toilet variation, affectionately named by Mark Hebden. Or d3, how bad can it be, right? Don't be mistaken, like, this endgame is actually not worse for white. White has a strong center. So don't make the assumption like exchanging into that ending guarantees black a good endgame because white can't castle. White still has the center. So I don't think you should necessarily exchange queens there. So white has those options, you know. Aldisto would probably play like knight f3 or something, right? Vladislav Kroll. Well, it's the Vladislav Kroll variation. Johnny Hector, 1987. This guy has dominated this variation for a long time. Are those correspondence games or real games? No, they're real. Markowski? No, that's a different... Makowski. Yeah, this must be correspondence. This is correspondence, Peter Schuster. He's the master of correspondence. They are real? No, I don't think so. Peter Schuster, 2488, 2006. No. I think that's... You know, Sanazuski is like an OTB player, but he's also a correspondence player. Well, some of them might be. Sotnikov, Arzamanian. Johnny Hector, Urola. But the Kroll games are correspondence. There's 2 real games in there. The rest are all correspondence games. So anyway, whatever. E5, the taxi driver. What to say about this? I hate when people play this. It's very hard to have fun. Like, you have lots of options. Part of me wants to play like G5. You know, like a Mihai Suba. The Mihai Suba gambit. But it's a little early for that. If you ever want to play it in bullet, probably G5 is a good bet. I think Jim would enjoy that in a bullet game. But if you want to be more subtle, you could play H6. They think you're going to go with bishop f5, but you're really preparing like G5. Alright, knight c6 is fine. You know, I've played a lot of different moves here. G6, knight h6. I don't see anything wrong with knight h6. You could be real funky and play like a6, probably. E6 is an F4 French. That's perfectly okay. If you wanted to be really creative, you might play F6. And yeah, the bishop F5, like the Caro-Kann style setup, is perfectly okay. So you have like tons of options. I mean, even like Queen B6 is probably a move. I just kind of randomly play whatever here. Usually Knight C6, and now Bishop G4. But I'm not sure. You know, maybe it's better not to play Bishop G4. I had this thought lately. I would always do this, like with colors reversed in the English. I have more games like this with reversed colors than actually this position. You get it in the English. It's kind of like white is playing a defense with an extra move against the English. But oftentimes I'll like trade my bishop off on F3 and feel like, well, I kind of wish I had my white square bishop or something. So I've been thinking about, yeah, maybe that's an option. I don't know. But you also have to keep out on your side, like, you know, do you want to allow him to play Bishop B5? Is it a big deal? Okay, anyway, Bishop G4 is a standard move. He plays that. You know, so here you see like most people play Bishop E2. Now if you trade your bishop, I mean, I have a million games like this with the white pieces. Like say here, I don't know, castles, knight H6. They do like whatever, yeah, C3, knight F5, D3, bishop E7, knight A3, H5, knight C2. I have like, I beat, oh, you know, your favorite opponent, Boris Privman, played a game like just like this against me. I also lost to Spanish American, actually, I should say, Grandmaster Julian Arizmendi, in a game back in like 1999 in Bermuda. The Spanish Grandmaster from New Jersey. He beat me nicely, playing black like white is playing like here in this game. I think it was something weird about, I didn't trade his knight, I ended up trading the bishop. But anyway, that's like a standard kind of continuation for both sides. Yeah, I mean, I guess this scares me a little bit more, because it's more imbalancing. Like, do you want to let him double your pawns? Is it worth taking time to play Queen B6? I don't know. Is it better just to allow him to double your pawns? Should you play Rook C8? I don't know. I really don't know a lot. Jim likes Bishop F5. Like a real Caro-Kann. But remember, like, this diagonal is not completely open. White hasn't played D4. It's not a Caro-Kann. Like, not really, you know, so he's not going to play D4 like an idiot and let you, like, rake this diagonal. Anyone good is going to be like, nope, D3. I'm just going to play D3, and then your bishop's going to be kind of shut down by the pawn on D3. Wave a Jersey. That's from a Pixies song, actually. Alright, D3. The Lorax. Okay, knight F3, bishop G4, whatever. Bishop E5 here. Move 11 doesn't care. But I think if I'm white here, I'm taking on C6 as fast as my hand can, like, reach out and take that. Like, if you're not going to double those pawns, like, why the hell is your bishop on B5? I mean, seriously. There's absolutely no reason not to play bishop takes C6 check here. Like, why would you even play the bishop to B5 if you're not going to double the pawns, given the opportunity? I can't really... I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a small chance White could try, like, C4 and actually not trade his bishop at all. In, like, a Nimzo style. This is kind of a cool idea. I mean, this would be the point. You try to get a grip on the light squares. You could even drop the bishop back to a4, maybe. So now the thing is, like, you can play knight e7 and call his bluff. And that's what you did. So that seems like kind of a problem for white. You know, now this is bad. I mean, he doesn't want to just give you his bishop for nothing. So he plays that. And now it's like turning into a really, really weird Rossalimo, where white's f-pawn jumped over the moon. It's like a Rossalimo where he played f2 illegally to f4. a6, bishop a4. Amazingly, this happened in a Gergely Szabo game. Wow. Yeah, I mean, what's the point of playing c3? It's like face palm. Why would you play c3? To give your bishop retreat squares and like weaken the light squares and then trade it off on c6. No confusion with Szabo Laszlo. Gergely is a Hungarian from Romania. From Transylvania. Great place. I highly recommend it. But anyway, like, this is clearly a mistake to play bishop takes c6. Now he has his pawn on, you know, the darks, all his pawns on the dark squares. Black doesn't get doubled pawns, and then this is a travesty. Probably, like, might as well try d3 now. Although I don't like white's position. There was no reason to play c3, and this is bad. So now he has a structure based on dark square pawns with no light square bishop. So I think here now you have like super bishop. You have super duper bishop. So maybe super scooper. The bishop of death. Like, if this bishop, he's no longer just a normal bishop. He was upgraded to like uber bishop. So no longer you're going to like simply trade it for a knight. You're going to bring it back to f5 and just like kill this diagonal. There's no way I'm taking on f3. Bishop e7, queen d3. Oh. Right. That's like bishop f5 with tempo. Horrifying. That's horrifying. Like here you're definitely playing bishop f5. You have the strongest bishop in the history of chess, right? It can go to e4. It dominates this whole diagonal. There's no control with the white squares at all. White is like an atrocity. I mean, if you have a reason to play this tactically, like you're winning a pawn or something. I mean, seriously, you have like take, and this. You know, if that worked. But it doesn't work, because after queen takes, rook c8, he has bishop e3, right? You know, something like that. The only way I'm trading this bishop is if I'm guaranteed to win material. White's position is awful. So what happened? Queen d3, question mark, queen b6, and then he doesn't play bishop e3 because his b2 pawn's hanging. Probably should take on c5. It's a no-brainer. Best chance, I guess. Takes, and king h1. Now you should probably play like bishop f5. Maybe consider h5, or you can do anything you want. But maybe you should just take on d4 here at this stage. I guess he has knight takes d4. So, okay, this is fine. Queen b6, king h1, and then you did that, winning the pawn. Yeah, alright. It hurts to do that, but you're winning a pawn. Yeah. It is game over. I mean, you might want to buy your own bishops. You might want to play knight e2. I don't know. I can't believe you castled. That's so sick. It's so sick to castle here. You have your master card taken away for that. Move 11 just doesn't play enough like Caro-Kann positions. You gotta put the king on d7. I mean, this is a beautiful thing. The king is in the center for the endgame. Why would you castle? You're activating. You have an extra piece in this position. No, I think this is hard to resist. This is bad. You're playing like Hare Krishna. This king is a monster. Oh, come on. Pieces on the board. This is ridiculous. Your king is so safe. It's the safest king I ever saw. Castles, bishop e3 here. That's a really weird square to put your knight on. Of course, you're scared of penetration. You have to calculate a little. Knight f5, bishop f2, and then something like rook c8. And you've got to ask yourself, do ancient aliens exist? So the final question would be, yeah, is this a problem? Yeah, it's a little awkward. I mean, you're probably winning, but you're going to have to put your knight on a weird square. So I'm not in love with that. But I definitely don't like b5. I don't know where you're going from b5. This is a horrible square to put your knight on. It's not clear where it's going from there. Just c6 is fine. You're just winning, you know. This is a bad square. You know, okay, he's clearly a pawn down, but tricky situation now, threatening a4. Never should have played knight b5. I mean, here I don't see how white has any chance to save the game. Panic. And now you jeopardize your whole position, because now you no longer have protected passed pawn. You're getting strung out. Now your b7's weak. This pawn's not secure. I don't know where he should go. Maybe he should go to f2. I'm not sure. Yeah, the position became a little out of control. Look at your d4 pawn now. It's very much a liability. Oh yeah, I mean, there's no reason to play a5. He should try developing his pieces at some point. He gave you back knight b5. Maybe it's not good to do that. Oh, the rook hurts. Man, this is frustrating. The guy's sort of hanging on. Yeah, how did this happen again? You just keep putting your knight on b5 for no apparent reason. You really like that square. No, I think a lot of little improvements, but this may be a problem now. This is not so easy. I hate d4. I hate knight b5 the most of all, though. That was a seriously bad move. Like, if you do this, there's no way this guy is surviving. After knight c6. But first of all, your king should be on d7. Then all your pieces are coordinated. Your king is totally protected. It contributes to laying like rook c8. It's guarding the 7th rank. You have a protected passer on d5. Oh no. Just a timeout. Any mention of that will be causing a timeout. Do chess players pay enough to make a living? Well, I don't pay for my living, I get paid, but you have a good point there. Probably not. It depends. Some of them do, not many. Yeah, anyway, you get the point, move 11. You let it get all random, you know? Here I wonder also, should you play like knight d5? Or knight b5? You should have seen knight a3 coming. I mean, this is pretty easy to see it coming. I'm also like, why are you not moving your other rook? to c8. You know, why move the one that's already developed? I know it's not great, but this we got to consider, but it looks bad because you're going to get uprooted anyway. Yeah, your knight is not so permanent there anymore. I guess you had this. Gotta play actively in the ending. Move 11 committed a lot of mistakes. You know, not centralizing your king. Look at this guy. Look at your king and his king. Your king should be on d7 right now. If you improve fundamentals like this, you'll be a master in no time. Look at this guy. He's 1700, but he plays a mean endgame. He's got his king in the center. And you've got a big pawn on d6. Nice king. He's even got an outside pawn. This nice blockade with the king. This guy's all over you. Wow. He's playing for a win. This is incredible that move 11 didn't lose here. See, he starts playing well when he gets like a lost position. e4, no. e4, no. There it is. Wrong color. So you should probably play bishop a5 check. You don't want to let him like blockade on the white squares. Now it's like, what do you do? That was awkward. Blitz panic. Oh man. I think we might be lost. When I was little, there was this FM coach who kept telling us how good life a chess player with all the traveling perks and stuff. See, that's why I didn't teach my children to play chess well. Alexander Ivanov was my favorite. Once he taught his son and he played in like one tournament when he was like 12 or something. He was like, never I would let my children to play chess. Are you crazy? I mean, no, it's something personal. You know, you gotta want to play chess, not because anyone's out of their mind. I mean, if you come from a place where there's no other option to make a good living, I guess. You know? But people don't become chess players to be rich. I think it's like an afterthought, you know? For a lot of people, it's an afterthought. I don't recommend becoming a chess player for the sake of money. You might become rich despite the fact that you're a chess player. But don't become rich. Don't become a chess player because you want to be wealthy. There's still a chance to be wealthy, but it's like a small chance. If you love money, don't be a chess player. Move 11 here, hung on. How? You're like lost here. That's the point? You have a way to hold this? Oh my god. I don't know. He's got to be winning, right? So this is like the key moment. Holy shit. It looks like he made a critical mistake here at move 49. Wow. Maybe a7's even winning. Wasn't as accurate as g5. Okay, so this is the blunder. He has that. Threatening g6, winning. Yeah, that was ugly, man. That was an ugly endgame, you know. I'm surprised at you. But I know, you know, this became like a blitz game where you probably had very low time. Interesting stuff. I mean, I take a lot for granted, you know, that people know stuff I've known for 30 years. Alright, we've only got a few minutes left. Well, we've got like half an hour left, but we don't have that much time left. I've got a game with ANSI, LVN, and Anonymous, and Mule Skinner. Let's do Mule Skinner's game. Astrobait, you're not in the list. We didn't do Astrobait and Mule Skinner. Quickly now. Astrobait usually submits games that I can put in the in the opening explorer, but this week he screwed up. Not opening explorer, the study. Masturbate, where's your game? Damn it. Ah. Where is your game, dude? That's the wrong thing. If I loved money, I wouldn't have been a chess player. That's for sure. No, I wasted all my college education. All my college friends are like rich. Let's do Astrobate chat. Yeah. Where's your game? May I submit the following Fisher Wren and played... Okay. My opponent, Goo. No relation to the Sonic Youth album. You can go over my game pretty quickly. Okay, LVN. I think you're at the end. Astrobate with a good center pawn loss here. 25 CPL. Guys, tomorrow we're going to be back in the morning with Blitz challenges. Mr. Coffee, thanks as always. I mean, I feel like I don't thank you enough. Mr. Coffee's like always just lurking and watching and hanging out, but I feel like we don't appreciate him enough. We're banning those trolls expediently. Okay, this is Chess 960, so adjust your brains. It's gonna appear strange at first. Astrobate had a good result in the troll tournament, in the Chess 960 tournament, with 4 wins out of 9, but all of them upsets. So he upset 4 players that were higher rated than him, and I think it shows that you understand coordination. You know, there's no opening theory, so it's just like natural understanding of how the pieces coordinate, you know, and cake safety and fundamental principles rule. Astrobate now plays a ridiculous move, by the way. Bishop b5. That's insane. Like, there are 212 games from this position, only one person was on the same wavelength as Astrobate. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I mean, you do this a lot where you're putting your minor pieces on squares where they provoke pawn weaknesses. But this isn't really a weakness, you know? A weakness isn't a weakness unless it can be attacked. Does a tree make the sound in the forest? Does it make a sound when it falls in the forest if no one's there to hear it? That's the question. No, I mean, in normal chess I play like Bishop e5 against a Nimzovich, where I'm threatening to double his pawns. This is like the Portuguese, like e4, e5, Bishop e5. You're attacking nothing. You know, you're not threatening to double his pawns. a6, I could argue that's a weakness. It creates weaknesses in black's position, contributes very little. But I mean, come on now. I don't know, like c6. Astrobate wins the game because of this in a sense. No, I'm thinking of a different game. Maybe it was this game? Maybe it was a different game. But I don't think it's justified. You know, I think that this c6 pawn controls the center. Black can castle, don't forget. This is not normal chess. He can castle over there. He can castle over there. The king is not stuck on c8 indefinitely. You know, I think that a tempo like c6, where are you going to go? You know, you have to go here. It's lame. But Troll plays that. This is still not a bad move. So, the one guy who had this game before, Claudio Miguel, played bishop takes c6. That's a good move. It's principled. The downside is that black has b takes and maybe open rook here. But I'm not buying it. You know, probably the structure's more important. Black should take this way, like happened in the game. Keeping the pawns into 2 islands. Black solid. He's starting to castle queenside. Okay, knight c6 is a good move as well. Here. Sensible. e6. Not really dubious. f4. Acerbate sees... He sees dead people. He sees mobility for his pieces. Center. Control of d4. But the center with c3, and what about this? That looks like a strong move, man. Because you're threatening d4. It's a killer. I think black's already in trouble. He's lost the battle for the center. Bishop c5 is a very seriously bad move. Troll in a roll would never play that. I think that black has to try to fight for the center very hard here. Maybe d5 is the best. This looks like a decent try. This is a mistake. And bishop f2 is good too. Total violation of principles. And now you just go back to f1. Or d3. Yeah, you have two good squares. You need a signed permission slip from me as your coach to trade a bishop for a knight. I did not give you a signed permission slip for this move. That's a bishop, this is a knight. Bishops are worth more than knights. Do not trade them for no reason. I need to see your permission slip. You can come back here. You can come back here. This obstructs the d pawn. That's why I like f1 better. It's all good because you're playing c3 and d4 anyway. You know? But he was nervous about knight e2 check, probably. Okay, queen f1, not the greatest. He takes. Yeah, I mean, black now has, like, equalized almost. Because he got your bishop. He also has, well, later on he'll have this threat. So he has d6. And now queen e2. And now black's fine. He's fine. Okay, there's a small problem with the bishop maybe getting trapped. Let's sort it out. d5. Is there a problem, officer? Yes. Knight takes d5. There's a fork here. So it looks like this would drop a pawn at least. I don't know. I don't like the look of it. White doesn't have a lot of development, though. It looks like you got to be a little careful about your development situation in this position. Black can castle quickly. Alright, anyways. Interesting game. He does castle. This bishop is in danger of getting trapped. Castles, threatening d4, trapping the bishop. Black is not aware. Okay, he's not aware. Duh, your bishop is about to get trapped. Boom. Now what do you do? What do you do? I mean, after d4, what's black going to do? He's losing a freaking bishop. What's he going to do? Takes here? We just move the knight away. Knight. Maybe not so easy. Maybe not so easy. Knight g4. There you go. We've got f6. This works. Therefore it is. So here, a3, bishop a5, and that. Yeah, good luck with that. Black just lost a bishop. I don't think there's enough compensation to justify that. So Acerbate just totally missed it. He took here. Still not a bad move, though. You know, even Acerbate's mistakes are still fundamentally decent moves. And that's why he won 4 games in Chess 960. Fundamentally, a good move, missing the best move. Queen takes g5, and then d4. Goodbye. So now you did what? h4. Not the greatest, because he can defend the d4 square. And that's it. See, he's got defense now. So you only got a very small advantage, and you're backward along the g file. And then black made... This is ridiculous. Gu's a pretty good player. He's not bad. I mean, he's like 2100 in Blitz. But a lot of people just aren't used to playing chess 960, so they go nuts. This is really random. White has a lot of good moves now. Again, d4. You found it. See? He found it. It took him like 3 tries, but he found it. Fundamentally, your only mistake was giving yourself a backward pawn along the g-file slightly. But other than that, you played well. And now you win a piece. And he gets a pawn on the 7th, right? That's a problem, except for the fact that you can play king d2. And Asterbate is not one to miss, like, only moves, necessarily. So Gu was kind of just, like, gambling, and Asterbate didn't give him any rope. Still, it's a sharp position. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. It's a little rational. I thought maybe queen c4. Threatening mate in 1. With some tricks. Perhaps. Still, situation is crazy. Here, 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 here. And our king is not safe. I think our first priority, though, is to immobilize that pawn on a2. This is a nice try, though. It looks good. He's threatening knight b6 check, winning the queen, and he's threatening the rook at d8. And that's it. He had to play king takes, giving up the exchange. Still not a good position for black. So nice game, Asterbate. He shows great coordination with the pieces, I have to say. Yeah, queen takes c4, queen, that's best, yeah. But I mean, you're still up a piece. I mean, I don't know. It was a blitz suggestion. White's still better. But nice coordination as always. Look how all of Asterbate's pieces got in the game. You know, black's rook and bishop never moved. They never moved. I mean, it's not just about dropping the queen. He understands how to get all the pieces in the game. He's coordinating his pieces better than the other players. All the pieces are working. The whole army. Nice job. So we got 25 CPL at the end. The very, very high CPL for chess 960. That's good for normal chess. And I would say extremely good for chess 960. Nice job. You should try more chess 960. I think you have a talent for it. Alright, so back button. Yeah, we still got a few games left. Wait, wrong study here. Here we go. Sync. Anonymous versus Anonymous. So this is Antsy. Antsy playing white. Wow, so rare to get such a classical opening. Roy Lopez, main line. Wow, it's a Zaitsev. I mean, Breyer variation with knight b8. And then you played very quietly here. Interesting. What's wrong with d3? It's a safe move. Main line is, of course, d4. Sort of Smyslov. It's called quiet variation. That's what I said, right? I didn't name it, but I knew what it was called. Knight on bd7, knight on bd2, bishop b7, knight f1. I don't know the conditions of this game. I mean, it could be a correspondence game for all I know. I don't really like c5. This looks like a good square for a knight to me. But I'm also cheating and looking at the opening explorer. But I mean after c5, I think we're going to transpose directly to a Zaitsev or something like that. More like a Chigorin, where the knight's on d7, and I mean, basically, after you play c5, what you've got is, you've got a Chigorin where the knight's on d7 instead of on a5. The Gorilla Pez is a lot like the Sicilian, in the sense that white and black are battling over the d5 square. Because black's center is mostly like dark square pawns. This kind of closed Spanish, I think the d5 is the most important point on the board. So instead of playing c5, I mean, this knight g5 is always an issue, so h6 looks like it makes sense. You'd like to play like rook e8, but you get hit by knight g5. There was a game where Uber Driver, man, not Uber Driver, Zen Chess or someone else, had their bishop on c8 and then did like rook e8 and allowed this, and I missed it. It was Cheese Mate or someone, I don't remember who it was, that allowed this type of trick where I had like bishop takes a 7 here, check and knight e6. I mean, that's not going to happen in this variation, but still, I think rook e8 is a normal plan. You normally want to play h6 at some point to play bishop f8. Okay, so what exactly is black doing here? He's fighting for, he or she is fighting for d5, but there's no protection of e5 whatsoever now. So how can black play d5? Black needs to play d5 like structurally without, defending the e5 pawn. After this, I mean, what is black going to do next? f5 looks like a problem. I mean, what do you have, like c4? Is that one chance, maybe? Maybe c4 for black. Well, let's say we go here, we lose some control of e4, then c4. And this still looks like a good Sicilian. But if we take, you have the e4. I don't want to lose my e4 pawn. So if you go into f5, like black can hit you with c4. So this reinforces e4 a little bit. It also reinforces c4. You can also play bishop c2. Although this looks passive, you very well might have to play that move inevitably anyway. Another thing is that you might play d4 at a later date as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a conservative system for white. Yeah, I mean, it's much more natural to develop a new piece here and control the e5 square. Now you might say, like, hey, maybe black can play d5 at some point. Now he's bearing down on that. Yeah, knight f5. You don't have a monster attack, but I mean, maybe knight e7 and bishop g5 is something. Now bishop c2 takes, bishop takes. Logical. Black still has no defense of e5 whatsoever, so he can't really play d5 without dropping the e5 pawn. Maybe he could play it though. Maybe it's defended tactically. Can black play this? I mean, Alyakin has this like famous game against Uva where he got this diagonal open, but I don't think that's flying in this position. The problem is, what do we do now? Like take? I'm a little bit concerned about this type of stuff. Perhaps it doesn't work tactically. We're just taking. But maybe it could work in some version. I just don't quite see it. I don't think that black can do it. He can't play d5. So what can he do? Rook e8. He doesn't play rook e8. Rook e8 looks like one of the best possible tries here, with the idea of bishop f8. This move is horrific. It's horrific. I don't know. I think like rook e8 is the only good move I can think of for black. And you've got to decide, like, do you want to take this bishop on e7 while you have the chance? Or are you going to let it go back to f8 when that rook reinforces here and perhaps eventually allows black to play d5? You can play this sort of in-between move like bishop g5, and then you're toying with him. This is probably best. If bishop f8, you know, this diagonal looks kind of scary. Although I'm not sure there's anything actually there, you can continue your development with like rook d1. Probably this makes sense. But black does that. That looks wrong. I mean, he gives up pressure on d5, the knight on e8. What's he going to do? Bishop f6 maybe? That's what he does. But now I don't like the way that white played. This rook should probably come to d1, not the e rook. Looks like white has close to a kingside attack. You do have this idea, don't forget. Then bishop g5 becomes an option. But still, I mean, there's serious threats. I guess the one good thing about knight e8 is that it does protect g7. That's true. So maybe knight h2 is bad. It does protect g7, believe it or not. That's funny. And it's not so easy. Maybe bishop e3. And I'm looking at stuff like this, like knight c4 takes, rook takes, bishop b6, queen d7, rook d1. But this is hanging. Not so easy. Actually, he just take it. That's probably nothing. Yeah, we need to get our rook across to d1 and then bring the bishop back to c1. But instead you played this. Now your rook is out of the game. Yeah, black looks pretty solid here. It's a problem. It looks like black's got an idea. Yeah, I mean, I expected knight c4. I guess the point is to play this. You could play bishop e3 in this position. But then I guess this e4 is a problem. You know, what do you do after that? e4 is hanging. Bishop e1. It's not a great square. Not that thrilled about it. It has no mobility there. But I guess white is starting like c4. It's an interesting game, quite unusual. You got to consider knight h6 check. My favorite square for getting knights trapped, personally. This is not a good square on g3. It's very, very bad. In all honesty, once I saw Shamkovich play like a Spanish, I mean, back in like 1990, where Leonid had a knight on h6, it sat there for like 15 moves. It was really weird. It was freaking me out. You know, he just like left his knight on h6. I kept thinking it was going to get trapped. I got my knight trapped the last time. I put it on h6, ironically. But the point would be to play this. The king moves wherever, I don't know which square, and then you go back to g4. And then you're hitting here, and you're coming into d5. Exactly. You don't want the knight on g3 here. Not really. You've got one weird piece already on e1. Yeah, this is just not really great. These pieces are not really great. The rook on c1, the bishop on e1, the knight on g3. I like the fact that your bishop got back there, but your rook is still sort of stupid. He's got one bad piece, but you have arguably more. Still, white's alright, you know. The knight on e8 is bad, the knight on g3 is bad, the bishop on e1 is bad, but it's temporary. I mean, you can fix it now, and that's the next move. Both sides try to fix their bad pieces. He's got good control of f4. Then queen d2. Very committal move, but probably okay. I was thinking queen d2. Another very committal move. Yes. And now white has secured control of d5. It's like a Sveshnikov. Yeah, this is a totally changed position. I mean, now we've got the nightmare bishop on b1. Very strange situation. I don't know about queen b2. Because it's keeping an eye on b4. That seems like a good thing. I think here is a position where a lot of people would probably play like h4. And, you know, the key is like what happens after h5, probably. If he doesn't do h5, you can play h5 yourself. But it looks hard to make progress. I don't understand queen b2. Now he did h5. That's pretty crazy, but he's trying to win. Now we have a problem. So that was forced. If we play hg, h4, we lose our e-pawn. This is a big issue. Damn. That's a major pawn we lost. At least we traded off a bad bishop for it, though. So it's not a total tragedy. I mean, we still have good control of d5. The h-pawn is weak. And no bad bishop on b1. It's possible that black collapses. Like, if you play king f2, rook h1, and just barrel down the h-file. Black has to be careful. Here, here. Whoa, mother, what just happened? I mean, black's clearly a strong player. Hi, Mule Skinner. We still haven't gotten to your game yet. Or we did. Or we didn't. Did we do Mule Skinner's game? No, we didn't get to your game. Glad you're here. G4. Yeah, I can't believe G4. Wow. But maybe there's no other option. Maybe it's not that bad. It looks horrible at first. No, I mean, I imagine black's better. I was expecting like queen e6 here. But it's an interesting game. This was a tight game. Not clear. Queen e6 with the white squares. I guess you got something on the h file. And when he played knight g7, I actually thought he might play king g7 and then try to bring the rook to h8. Depending on what you do. You know, here, here. If you go rook h1, black goes rook h8. I don't know, that's an alternate way for black to try to defend other than knight g7. It looks like white's king is too open here. But you got the rooks to defend. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you gotta guard the h file. You have to play rook h1. There's no way you're surviving after rook g1 and rook h5. It's no way. This is the only move. I'm pretty sure. You have to play that. I can't imagine we're gonna hold on now after rook h5. This looks bad. I mean, the invasion down here. I give up. There are too many problems. Black's king is safer. Black played really well. Clearly very strong player. Or a computer, I don't know. If it's internet chess, it might be a computer. If it's over the board chess, less likely. But he played like a monster. Yeah, this is over. should be over, unless black is like an endgame noob. He's got 2 connected passed pawns. Still left you with 1 dangerous pawn, though. I mean, 1 is all it takes. It doesn't look like enough. Don't really like king back. Yeah, I mean, this is out of control. What happened here? The last few moves is getting out of control. But this is a totally winning position. This has to be a winning position for black. This position. Has to be. I mean, he has 2 connected passed pawns. He's up 2 pawns. He has some counterplay with that single pawn, but I can't believe it's enough. We'll check with the engine. Plus 2.5. It's a win, but it's not that easy. Rook c2, king d5, g5. Trading rooks is not so simple. Because rook c2, check, you know, his pawn can't be stopped. You know, so you do this, like here, check, king c6. That pawn's too close. So this looks important. Like, black should have played c5, rook c2, king d5, and then started to go. It's a little hard to support this pawn down to c8, and black's just like gonna go to the races with his kingside pawns. But he didn't find it. Then things got out of control. I also didn't like this move at all. King e8. There's no way I'm putting my king on e8 here. Not in a million years. I mean, you've got to play king e6. King e8 is passive. I can't imagine how it could possibly be better. It's a draw according to the computer. I just don't see the benefit of king e8. You know, now anything's possible. But the king on e8 sucks. You know, how is that going to support the pawns down the board? It's not. I mean, now it's like black's probably getting a draw. Yeah, it's a draw. You need your king down here to like support those pawns, sack the rook, and win with 2 connectors. But he has no backup. Now his king's too late. So you got like some tactical ending. The king should have been on e6 like 5 moves ago, or 10 moves ago. You know, the king is late. It wasted time going back there. This should have happened like a better version of this for black. So I guess this king, yeah, it's still a draw. It's enough for a draw. White has to be careful though, he can lose. And now, wow, you have to be very precise. Damn. Yeah, it got really close. Is there any inaccuracies here by white? Did white make a mistake? Well, he's kind of lucky to get a draw, honestly. So this is still winning. Wow. No, it's still a draw. G5 is a draw as well. You got to play this very accurately. I mean, I'm not sure I would be able to play it perfectly. Rook d5 is the only draw. So what's the point? King e4, clearly. Shouldering the white king. Rook e5, check. And now, okay, there may be a slight problem. If you go to f3, I play rook g5, and I'm going to get my king to e5. The king is the important thing. White king has to get back in the middle. Yeah, your king has to get back as fast as possible. That's close but no cigar. Yeah. You can't stop him. It's over. Yeah, instructive endgame. Alright, next game. Mule Skinner is here. And then we've got those 2 last games from LVN. And who was anonymous again? That was Nils. We did that. Alright, we've got LVN after Mule Skinner, and that'll wrap it up. Yeah, rook d5 is tricky. It's not an easy move to find. But, I mean, you have to understand the idea. My understanding of endgames is based on ideas and calculation, not like massive amounts of memory. You know, I don't have long endgames memorized. But you understand that the king angling its way back, shouldering the enemy king, that's the key. That's the key. You got to find a way to get your king back to a relevant position. You can't go around the other way, so it has to be through like d5 and e5 or e4. You didn't get quite close enough. But of course, you were lucky to even have a chance to save that game. It was really lost. Okay, Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner game 6. Sorry, it's game 6. Mule Skinner versus Garcia Blasquez. Blasquez, is that like Velasquez? Blasquez. Mule Skinner with the black pieces. So, yes, I've played c4 many times against Mule Skinner. He's playing the Grand Prix attack well. Now he's playing reversed Grand Prix attack. I do recommend this reversed Grand Prix attack in an old video series of mine on Chess Lecture. I haven't played it in a long time. White has ways of dealing with it, but it's totally playable. You know, I was thinking about something in this position. I used to think like White's best move is d3, and I thought about knight h3. That's sort of artificial. You're white? What? Are you sick or something? You're playing the English? Oh, it's the wrong game. Oh, my bad. It says game 6, man. Wait, is this the right game? This is game 6. I'm in the wrong game? Oh, I'm in the wrong game. Sorry. Anyway, we learned something new. Mule Skinner, why are you always white in the French every game we analyze? Is that weird, or is it just me? Well, it's always the French, whatever. Yeah, it's always the French, for either side. So knight c6. I don't know this too well. I had a discussion with the FIDE master about this some years ago. What did we talk about? Bishop b5. Knight f3 first, and then like bishop b5. That's not right. Yeah, I mean e5 is normal. Okay, here, and then bishop e5. But, yeah, maybe bishop e2 is good. This is like the main line, I thought. Maybe I'm wrong. Could you do like a Bronstein? Like a knight db8, knight cb8, knight db8? There's only one game where that happened. The other way is possible here. I can't remember now what we said. I guess this is the main line. Then knight f1, right? This is what he recommended as well. Because your knight can go to two different positions. It's been a long time since I looked at this, but I know you can go to b3 or f1. And it's not clear like which is better. Black plays f6. Right. So this is the question. How would it be if I played bishop b5? Oh, your bishop's on the wrong square. That's the problem. You're supposed to play bishop e2. Then f6. Then takes. Wróblewski va gagnant. Queen f6. Knight f1 or knight b3? That's the question. So anyway, this guy who's a French player, that was his opinion, like this is white's best chance. Bishop e2 and then, I don't know, maybe knight f1. It's really weird. It reminds me of the Latvian gambit. That's just the opinion of one random FIDE master. But I kind of believed him. You know, it seems like a reasonable way to play. So I don't know about bishop e5 though. I mean, bishop e5 seems very logical. Totally different approach though. So you played that. So alright, without looking at the opening explorer, I don't understand this move. Why are you allowing black to play knight b4? Like, what am I missing here? I don't understand it. It looks like this is like correcting his entire position. There's an idea behind this? It's like some subtle trick. It was a tempo, you thought. Okay. So the question is, like, bishop e2. Well, Navarra played it, so it has to be good. When he plays c5, you play c3. Does this, like, transpose to something normal? I mean, you just got, like, a really weird... It's like a really weird, weird line. Castle. You could play a gambit, right? Back into the gambit world. How do we play this gambit? Like rook e1? What would happen here? Takes, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4, knight f3. Is this valid? You can't. We're trading queens. I can't trade queens, so what's the move here? There's no way we can play a gambit. I mean, bishop d3, you can. Are we transposing back? Wow. That's weird, man. So we get the tempo back, and we transpose back into the Korchnoi gambit or whatever. That's funky. So you could use it as a transposition back into some kind of line. Alright, anyway. Yeah, so it's not so clear knight b4 is so great. Interesting. I mean, I think that's what most people would play, though. I mean, it seems very logical. Is there anything else black can do? Not really. I mean, you really have to play c5 here. And it's like forced. It's just forced. Yeah. Or bishop d3 first, and then the same thing. Queen b6. Galyash used to play stuff like that. I remember seeing, like, really weird Frenches where he would do g6. It seemed very strange to me. But not being an expert, I wasn't sure. What is he doing? He's like fianchettoing his bishop in the Tarash French. But Mickey is an expert. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, back to the line in the game. Bishop d3, f6. Wow, there's a crazy move here. Knight g5. Good to know your theory if you're going to play that move, I guess. So this is Guimard variation, right? There's a lot of theory, though, probably on this variation that's been written in books. Not that I own any of them. E takes f6. Yeah, this seems normal-ish. With the exception of black having the ability to play knight to b4. So, this looks like a game I played the other day. You're a little slow. I had a game just like this in a similar structure where my opponent failed to play e5 like fast enough. But it looks like he's got it here. Yeah, I mean this is awkward. That looks strange too. It's too slow to play knight f1. The question is, can you castle? It looks like you're just dropping your central pawn. Ginda, 1984. Wow. So this is important. This was a very strong Romanian grandmaster from the like 60s through 80s. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4. So this is important. Wow. This is a really strong pawn sack. And that's not that intuitive. That's why knowing theory is really important. You could castle there, and your move is too restrained. So I guess this is strong. Yeah, I don't really believe in knight f1. I mean, that looks ridiculously slow, but it has a good score, huh? Wow. Because the pawn is poisoned. I can't believe you have time for this. But knight f1 is actually good too. e5, knight e3. And then, wow. There's some recent game. Bala Gimre lost probably here in Zalaegerszeg or the Hungarian Team Championship. That's crazy. No, I like castles. It seems much more efficient. Magnus Carlsen. Did you see that? There's a Carlsen game. Queen takes f6 castles. Magnus versus some random 2200. How does a 2200 player play Magnus Carlsen in 2014? I mean, is that like chess.com? Probably, I assume. The title Tuesday. Some bullshit online blitz tournament. I don't see a 2200 playing Carlsen otherwise. Bishop d6, castles, and now black, does he have e5? That's a critical move. He's got to go for e5. Look at this, c4. So he hesitates. He who hesitates is lost. Castles, rook e1. You didn't play rook e1 because of f2. Okay, this is interesting. Queen c2 feels artificial. People have even played queen b3, like stopping e5 tactically. 2200. Carissa Yip. Now very overrated, probably. Yeah, that's just artificial. I don't know, man. What do we do here? Queen e2. The problem is queen e2 is too slow. You're getting hit by e5. Queen b3 is artificial. Queen c2 is artificial. Rook e1 looks dangerous, but maybe this is the point, you know. Does he have this? Yeah, it's a problem. That's why the gambit is better. You need to play like Ginda and Castle. You're like a tempo up on that other variation. This looks decent. Not to mention knight f1. But this is simpler. The extra move really makes a big difference. It looks like you're in trouble here. So he can sack h7 maybe. Maybe, maybe not. So what if black just goes e5? Wow, this guy did it. Holy shit. Black played e5 and the guy didn't even take because he was scared of this. Right, like king h8, threatening e4. And it's like dangerous. Takes, knight takes. I don't know who this is good for. White actually played queen b3. This is really weird. And it's a very close position. Bishop h7 is bad. So your opponent was like a chicken, and he played h6. Like Abergel's opponent. That's a huge tempo. Question is, what can you do in the meantime? I guess you can still play rook e1 or queen b3. You played g3. Yeah, g3 looks scary. It doesn't help our pieces. But it's hard to find a move here. I mean, maybe like c4 is no good because of knight b4. a3 is slow. Rook e1 is slow. I don't know what I would do. It's a tough position. It's a tough position. I don't know what to do. I want to play rook e1, but I'm scared of e5. And obviously, you know, there's danger here. So it all hinges on that queen b3 trick. Everything hinges on queen b3 at whatever position. It's your only chance, apparently. So I guess rook e1. It's no good now. Wow. e5, queen b3, queen f7. Man. You're already worse. That's brutal. Wow. So actually h6 is a good move. This is amazing. You know, the tower is just hard to play. Looks like a good line for black. Naturally. And now you're in trouble. So you gotta just allow e5 and pray you can survive? Wow. You have some knight h4 idea, that's your point. But it's not clear if it's enough. It's a nice idea. He goes for this. And then on e4, what are you going to do? Is there something wrong with g6? Yeah, it looked funky. g6 looks really funky. The engine was looking at some sort of b4. I would think like the b4 would get stronger here. Could that diagonal open up? Maybe it's not. Maybe not a realistic expectation. Kuprejcik with white. Lost. Yeah, it's playable. g6 is playable. Totally. Black won both games. Both players played rook e1 and got blasted by e5. Daryl Johansson, the Australian Grandmaster. Kuprejcik played queen b3, queen f7, and he's in trouble. Kuprejcik went back to playing the advanced variation after that game. Apparently. Castles, yeah, we're in trouble. So this is a nice try, but does it work tactically? He has e4. You know, that's what I thought. Now what do? You have to sack a piece. Let's see, like knight takes e4, pawn takes e4, knight g6 check, king h7 takes. We don't have enough material. There's 3 pieces. So you got to do like the immediate knight here. Just looks like it's losing. I feel like we're playing the open Rolopez, whatever that gambit's called, in reverse. Maybe f3 will be enough at the end. You know, can we do like that? Yeah, it was a nice try. Black plays knight e7, and you're okay. Are you okay? Maybe not. Good control of g6. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to play this, but I don't know what choice we have. White's in big trouble. Damn, this is brutal. No, here you might have something tactically. What about, like, c4? Undermining his center. Is it too slow? Knight f3. Wait, can't you just play knight g6? Play knight g6 check. You can survive here, maybe. I think you can survive, right? Like knight g6, bishop g6. You're going to lose a pawn. That's the least of your worries. Can you do anything else? You're just going to lose your central pawn. It's not a good news. Or at least you're like still not getting mated or completely crushed. Doesn't look good. Yeah, it's a bad situation. Now you're gonna have to play, I don't know what. This is desperation. Too many weaknesses. Wow. And now I don't understand what's going on. Doesn't black have like knight to g4 here? I think this is curtains. Curtains for the final act. Am I missing something? That's pretty brutal. He didn't play that. He played g5, but why? This looks really strong. There's no way like you're surviving that. g5 is kind of random. Whoa. That's crazed. What is this about? Knight g4 is winning. Apparently g5 is winning. Still good enough. Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, for a French player to get crushed like this with white is scary. Knight g4, knight f3, knight f2, king g1. Ah! Nah. It's there. It's there. There was a million wins. White went wrong. It was tricky earlier. Yeah, queen c2 is like already you're in big trouble here. But I think the moral of the story is this position. Like here. You just don't have time to play c3. But in the first place, like, probably better not to play bishop d3. No, at the end of the day, like, we should stick to the solid moves with bishop e2. Alright, last game. Dang, Spiel Skinner, that was ugly. So we lost, right? I assume you lost finally. Yeah. That's the final position. I mean, there's no defense. He's threatening mate here. It's terrible. It's ironic, though. I mean, he's a pretty good player with black in the French. Though that variation with knight c6 is a bit different. It's hard to lose in your own opening. Yeah, you just got to know what you're doing. That variation, I think like Watson actually recommended that line as a sideline. The Guimard is not that bad. You know, I mean, it's really bad against knight c3. Here, like, knight c6 is totally, like, kind of dubious. But it feels like that's a kind of Nimzovich, right? But against knight d2, I mean, the Guimard is, it's respected as a legit variation for black. Last game, guys, I gotta go. It's really late here. Last game is... I'm trying to find my study. My studies I contribute to. Thanks, everyone. Please support the stream and subscribe if you can. We're going to be back with some Blitz challenges tomorrow morning. Good to see a good turnout here. We had an earlier raid from Grandmaster Durabali. Thanks to Vasif. Yeah, here it is, March 10th. Last game. So it was LVN. Right. Our last late submission. LVN is white. E4. Hey, what's up, Goovin Kurt? Thanks for joining us again. Good to see you back. I know you were here the other day. I was so into the analysis there, didn't get to greet you. So we got another... Oh, no. LVN plays... He plays the 4 knights game. Okay. Not a lot of people playing this. You know, it's not a trendy opening. But nothing wrong with it. You know, bishop e5 is... It's fine. Bishop e2, g3, and your move. are all known. I think like a lot of people play d5 here. I remember someone played this like against Caruana. I think it was an Olympiad game where, yeah, I mean it's like you're playing the Roi Pez in reverse or something. It's weird. Or I don't know what to call it really. Yeah, a3 is interesting. No, it's a totally playable line. I mean, I guess theoretically, d5 is a big variation. But I wasn't thinking of Caruana playing white, ironically. I was thinking of a game where Caruana had black. But maybe it was a different line. Maybe his opponent... I think someone played bishop e2. It was a Scotland-USA match from like 5 years ago at a... Yeah. Some really old Olympiad from 5 or 6 years ago. Someone played bishop e2. It was a bishop e2 d5. That's another variation. Okay, a3, bishop c5. That's a good move, right? So knight takes e5 trades a lot of stuff off. That's the one downside. Patrick Gideon Wolf, 1993. So if you don't play knight takes e5, you can play bishop c4, transposing to a Vienna. I mean, if you want to try to play a variation where you don't trade pieces. So this is interesting. You know, obviously, like bishop takes f2 is critical. King f2. Knight e5. This doesn't look right for black. It's bad. Yeah, you can't do that. So I don't know. It's like a weird kind of Spanish classical. Except your bishop's not on b5, it's on f1. Bishop d6. I don't know anything about this. Like in the classical Spanish, our bishop is out on b5 instead of a3. And it's often coming back to like e2. You know what's funny? You could almost transpose to like Spanish, because the bishop would go from like b5 to e2, and it would go from f1 to e2 instead. Here instead you played bishop d3. The snake Benoni. Well, you think that it's inaccurate? Yeah, maybe. Well, the critical question is this position. I guess this will prove one way or the other. I mean, a3 is not the most useful move in the world. You know, that's the one issue with white's position. Bishop d3 doesn't seem very aggressive. What options do you have, though? So apparently this is popular. It's a really weird idea, playing f4, I guess. c6, knight d6 check. Yeah, that looks ugly. If you have to give up that bishop, I mean, this looks really pretty ugly. I have no idea why, you know, Dragnev would play this against a strong player. I think people just don't know what they're doing. It's a good reason to play a3. You know, players who know what they're doing in the main lines might have no clue here. People don't study this variation much, so f4 apparently. That's another borrowed idea from the Roi Pez classical. But I don't think you got that much here. I mean, I don't understand, like, someone played d5, but that looks kind of weird, you know? That's asking a lot. Can't black just play solidly now? Like d6 or something? Or just take? I can't imagine, like, you're much better here. This is a sensible move. I mean, if I'm playing black, I'm going to play it, you know, like a Nimzo. Bishop takes c3, check takes. Is e5 a threat? Not yet. Is bishop g5 a threat? Yes, maybe. So, I'm not sure I want a castle. I think like d6. What's the deal here? I mean, I don't know. Okay, white's a little better. But it's hardly easy to say, like, white's a lot better. I mean, it looks like a normal opening to me, you know. That's a totally reasonable way for black to play. But this d5 guy, I mean, that's asking a lot. And your guy played c6, which weakens his dark squares. Yeah, I mean, honestly, what's the best move? Castles. Okay. Neither c6 or d5. d5 is a move, apparently. Wow. I would think that would be asking too much from the position. Castles is the safest. Alright, so c6, castles, castles, f4, check here, and then d5. And now after e5, he decides to take on c3. But I have a problem with this. White's space advantage is significant. I mean, this pushing to f5 could be a serious problem. I don't know what he's thinking here. Like, you're going to take or something? No. His only hope is f6, I think, trying to break up your pawn structure. Or an f5 blockade, but it's kind of passive. Maybe he can play f5. Anyway, here. c4 is a good move. You have no weaknesses. You just traded off your doubled pawn. Now black needs to concern himself with this diagonal opening up. And he's just playing for cheapos. You know, I mean, queen b6 doesn't seem right. Now black needs to play chess here. This has got to be critical position. Can we do like f6, or is that too dangerous? Looks very vital that black play accurately at this point. Now I think he's okay. Knight c5 is a move. Bishop f5 is a move. f6 is too risky, huh? Yeah, I mean, it's risky because the diagonal here. It's a playable move. You could also play f5. Let's see how f5 stacks up. It's better or equal to f6. It's playable, but again, a kind of tough schlag for black. Black's slightly worse. I mean, there is this. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to allow like g4? Queen h4? I'm not sure about that. I don't like that. So queen b6 looks strange. Yeah, I was expecting queen e1 from you. And this looks good too. And then he does f5. So it's a tough game. Now you take. Yeah, you know, so now you have a French, essentially, where you're maybe a little better. But he's got a pretty solid position. Black could play d4. Or not. Maybe not. Rook b1's too dangerous. Yeah, this is very awkward. I suspect that the black bishop probably needs to come to e6. Unfortunately, d4 doesn't work because of issues with dropping this pawn on d4. Could you play f5 immediately, not c4? Whoa. f5 immediately, gone for the big pawn. Yeah, I mean, that's always the idea, of course. This can be protected by like bishop f4. I don't care about the pawn on c3. Like, that's irrelevant. If our pawns are rolling, we have f6. Attacking chances? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, is there any way that e5 becomes weak? Maybe, but bishop f4 is coming in. You know, whatever you do, rook e8 or I don't care. You know, we could just play this. And then the e5 pawn. Yeah, I agree with you. No, this is a problem because f5 drops. Wait. If there's some problem with keeping these pawns together, then it doesn't work. So hit e5, and then if I have to play f4, bishop f4, like the f5 drops. That's the question. There's also queen h4, which is probably rubbish, but we should at least take a look. With the one move cheapo. Doubtful that's good. I mean, you could even play like, I don't know, you could even play king g1, but no, I don't think so. Rook f4. There's a lot of possibilities. There's knight f2 check. So we almost have to do this. Weird. Okay, queen f3, like in the game. That looks pretty strong. Nope. Alright. Not queen h4, but let's think about moves that attack e5. Rook e8. Yeah, I mean, this is an issue. You know, here, I don't like this. We can't drop that pawn under any circumstances. So how do you protect e5? How do you protect e5 here? I mean, you might have something crazy like f6 going nuts. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but. Let's see what the oracle says. The oracle says it's an interesting position, but unclear. Yeah, we go for it. You gotta go for it. Yeah, it's a wild position. I mean, anything can happen. But it's not clear if it's good or not. Interesting. c4. Yeah, it's definitely playable, though. I mean, I think he could also take, right? After f5. You could take. To open lines en passant. I don't like this queen here. But he's going to try to set up a blockade. Yep. You could play bishop d4. And then maybe hope to play like g4. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, man, if I would do this. I mean, bishop d4 is very safe for white, and I doubt white is in any danger. But I'm a little scared of the white squares now. I'm not sure which way black should take here. But this is clearly safer. This is also possible. This doesn't look good. Where? I mean, even sacking a pawn might be a valid idea here. I don't think black's in trouble after rook d3. Yeah. You're defending. This is a stupid move. I mean, it doesn't threaten anything. Why not take here and eliminate that pawn from the board? Now I don't know. Okay, takes. Yeah, it got crazy. That's a very strong pawn. You're worse. Yeah, you got in some serious trouble here. This is just a blunder. Oh, you lost a piece. Wow. Yeah, black played well. Yeah, I mean, this never should have happened. You know, I think this was risky. I mean, if you want my personal opinion, and it's not necessarily the gospel, I would have just stuck my bishop on d4. Oh, you're losing an exchange here with knight d2. Alright, so we have to hold off. You played c4, but that's not necessary either, you know. You want to blockade. You can't just like drop a pawn for nothing. You know, on the other hand, if you go back a few moves, like here, maybe I'm not crazy. Like maybe queen e1 is better. But that would give you, similar ideas. Let's see what the Oracle says. I gotta go. It's late, guys. Queen e1 is interesting. The engine actually likes Queen f5, Queen f3, though. It actually likes taking here. Whoa. Oh, and f5. No holds barred. It's a very unclear position, though. I don't know. My computer is too slow. I think Queen e1 is safe. How do we deal with this here? I need to blockade. I mean, what are we going to do? Go back, maybe, and try to blockade d4? I think you're okay. I don't know if you can sack in exchange. How about rook d1? It's playable. But it got kind of risky. And I think you opened up the white squares for him, ultimately, resulting in your own demise. Obviously, in opposite colored bishops, we got to be fast. But here, you're getting in trouble, right? Maybe you could play rook d6 and do like the reverse. You can pivot to sacking a pawn against him, right? It's a little slow, but maybe you can hang on with a dark square blockade. I'm not sure. Tough game. So in the end, you lost a piece. Yeah, that was tough. Black played really well. Is there any way you save the game after that? Draw, maybe? No. Nope. Alright, guys. Thanks for the games. I'm out of here. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Yeah, no, Black played well. It was a solid game. And you're a decent player, so that was impressive. I will be back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks to Mr. Coffee for his help. As always, thanks to the raid from Grandmaster Durabali. And we'll see all you guys tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. CET. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.